Great Thursday morning to you, everybody. Welcome back. Your midday hang has reported for duty. It's Annie and Elsten here with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Here we are in our Odyssey studios. It's Annie Halbrin. I'm Craig Elsten, Braden Soprenet alongside. We overlook gloomy, overcast Murphy Canyon. We're ready. We got 4 hours of lively San Diego sports talk radio to bring you today, bridging the gap between Ben and Woods and Gwen and Chris. What's going on, Annie? How you been?
I'm good. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, all you beautiful people out there in listener land. I couldn't sleep last night. I didn't sleep at all last night.
Really?
Just tossed and turned.
Yeah?
Listener land. Yeah.
Thinking about stuff?
Maybe just FanFest, just the excitement.
So
No,
excited for FanFest.
so in on
Can't forget the bit.
FanFest.
I just really went down the road of AJ Preller and all the different things he could do, the different
Yes.
machinations. And
Yes.
just couldn't sleep. No, it was none of that. Just couldn't sleep. You ever have those nights you just
Yes.
Yeah.
can't sleep? And then I looked at my clock and it was 2:45, then it was 3:45.
Oh my
It
God.
was 4:45. I think I fell asleep at like 6, but then I got up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Dang it.
At that point,
it's one of
like,
those
you might
things.
as well
Yeah,
get up.
exactly. Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah.
It
Might
is-
as well watch Below Deck.
Yeah. Well,
I thought about it. I was like, maybe I should just get up and start doing work.
right.
Because then but if I just stayed in.
It is funny that you say that. So I had a really long day yesterday. Really long day because it was my drop-off James day at El Capitan. I was in the correct place.
Good old El Cap.
But they kind of did us dirty last night because they moved the swim practice.
Swim drama.
Yeah, they moved the swim practice to 5, and El Capitan was playing a basketball game at 5
Oh.
at home. So,
Was it crowded or something?
oh my God,
Really?
Annie, James,
City
and
of
I,
Lakeside, man.
What?
So if you've
I
ever
didn't
been,
realize.
if you know, you
Pre-game
know.
party at Eastbound.
If you've ever had to deal with the right turn onto Maple
Oh, yeah.
View,
Oh, yeah.
Many times.
and then the left turn onto that street that not only goes past El Capitan, but eventually goes all the way up to Barona if you kept taking it that way. I think it's
Yeah.
Atwood.
The one that goes behind the baseball field?
Yes.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
a rough
It's a
entrance for
rough
a high
one.
school.
no
Yes.
matter what, it's an airlock. Like, no matter
Yeah.
what, it's always an airlock. Stop here, stop here, stop here, right? Combine it with being 5 o'clock commute time and the whole. It seemed like the entire student body of El Capitan and every parent in the entire region
I love their
showed
support.
up.
Must have been a big game in East County
I'm not
last
kidding
night.
Let's
you.
go, Vaqueros.
I'm not kidding you when I tell you it took
Get
us
dialed.
like 40 minutes
Ew.
to get from the spot where you stop on
Yeah.
the 67
Yeah.
North to actually pulling into El Cap High School. And then we saw like 25 cheerleaders going cheer, cheer, cheer for everyone walking by. And I'm like, something's going on. We didn't know what was going on. Sure enough, when practice was over, was literally exactly when the game let out.
I had girls
Who's
basketball
making these
against Scripps
schedules?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. But I spent a
Oh,
crazy.
girls basketball.
It
Good
was,
for
It
them.
was a girls basketball game.
That's
against
awesome.
Scripps.
That's amazing.
Boys were off last night.
Well, there
Love
it
it.
is. A girls' basketball game. Great. Love to hear it. Completely ruined my evening.
Or if there were two separate entrances or something,
Right.
that could have
just
worked out.
some way around.
Yeah.
I was stuck
Yeah.
in the airlock way over an hour combined with dropping him off and picking him up. I was stuck in the airlock for way over an hour. Went and ran, did the whole thing, but it felt nonstop. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And like 9:30 last night, I was crashed out, asleep. So far asleep, I forgot to turn on my sleeping sounds.
Oh,
my
no.
soothing
Well,
sleep
that's
sounds.
you're really tired when you just fall asleep without those.
Right? So I was up the exact time you were up. Like, I remember looking at the clock and seeing 2:45
Yikes.
last night. Because I woke up, not badly, but like kind of half, and then like my little crutch wasn't there. Because every time I wake up at night, I'll say to myself, essentially, no thoughts, listen to the sound. Just clear mind.
So those waves crashing.
Clear hearts.
Listen,
Right.
that's it.
Can't lose.
Next thing you know, I'm asleep.
Does it make you feel better that El Cap won last night?
No.
52-39.
A little.
Kira Heinrichey. Heinrichey? Heinricy. Dropped 23 points last
Let's
night
go,
for the
Kira.
Vaqueros.
Yeah.
Big night for Kira last night.
So I actually got up at 2:45 because I looked at the clock on my wife's end table, and I put on the crashing ocean sounds. And then
And then you fell back asleep?
Seriously.
That's right.
Right back asleep. Just like bingo, bango. So sorry that your sounds didn't work for you last night.
Paige
It did
Wortham
not
had
work.
17. Good for OCAP.
KG pictures my sleeping sounds as a repeating track of soccer stadium cheers. You know, when I was much younger, and I mean much younger, I don't know why, but I would leave when I was living by myself, bachelor, studio, working in
pad.
radio.
Yeah.
Little studio. It wasn't really much of a pad.
Mirrored bed ceiling.
No mirror bed ceiling.
Oh, my God.
Gold,
No
gold
mirror bed
drapery,
ceiling. No.
A snake.
I used
Stop.
to
Stop it.
Stop all
it.
of it.
Stop.
Stop all of it. I used to pay $450 a month rent down there.
Those were the days.
Yeah,
It's a foul in California.
studio apartment. But I used
You
to
can't
leave
even
the
get
TV
like
on
a
all the time.
closet for $450 now.
I used to leave
Most
the
people's
TV on
car
all
payments
night
are
when I
less than that.
slept, and when I did, this was back in the day of VCR. I used to have this weird habit in the late 80s, early like 90s, like when I was in college. I would video record. Like every Final Four, every World Series.
Oh my God, would you play those when you sleep?
Yes.
Oh my God, you wouldn't.
I did. And so at that time,
That's why it wasn't a bachelor
essentially
pad.
it kind of was. Yeah. Thank you,
It's
Brady.
just a studio apartment.
Yeah, that's right.
That,
He loses the pad part on that.
yeah, it was only a studio apartment.
You're kind of Chris Ello. But before,
Craig Elo.
yeah.
Right. I'm the
Before
in-between.
he
I'm
had
Cavalier
DVR
star
and
Craig
was
Elo.
able to DVR all his programming.
Yeah. No, I used to do it all the time. The Lakers finals, stuff
And they
like
would
that.
just lull you to sleep.
Yeah. And then, but I would wake up to cheering fans. Someone hit a home run, whatever,
And then would you fall back asleep or would you start watching the game?
No, I'd fall back asleep.
Did they all start
Wow.
chanting Craig? Craig.
No,
Craig.
never. In my mind, maybe. I don't know.
In your dreams.
I have the I've always gone with like the ocean sounds. It's like a white noise ocean sound or whatever.
Yeah.
But now I see the new sleep sounds out there and it's like brown noise, pink noise,
Pink noise.
Pink-
teal
what?
noise.
What
Oh,
is-
they have all
what are
kinds
the color
of
noises?
noises that are different colors now. Purple noise. Yeah,
Purple
like
noise.
it's I don't they all have
Big
a
frog
different
noises.
maybe.
The purple noise.
Yeah. It's all just horn
It's
frogs.
just ribbits.
Cricking.
Ribbit. Ribbit.
Purple noise?
Yeah, what is that?
Pink noise reduces the difference between the background hum and loud, jarring noises. I don't know what's the difference between like pink. Green and brown noises are thought to help with falling asleep. Brown noises are thought to help with staying asleep a little better.
So you needed some brown noises.
Yes.
I didn't know you can listen to colors.
Blue noise is relaxation and focus. Gray noise is multi-purpose sound that is made of infinite single-source frequencies. I'm telling you.
The computers
all right?
have decided every way that we can be
KG
lulled
said,
into
"Do those
one
come
thing
with
or
a free
another.
pack of LSD.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, don't do that, kids. So
Drugs are bad, okay?
don't do them.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
I didn't
Okay.
really get to sleep last night too much either. But that's because
What
I
were
had
you
a-
doing, Braden?
I had a 9 at 10 o'clock softball game. So it's like you get back and it's just like,
I used to do dance classes late at night.
I've
and
asked
I
you
would,
about
the
this
same
so
thing
many
would
times.
I
happen to
can't
me.
do it. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
hard. I play the 10 o'clock
Yeah.
game and then, my buddy's like, oh, let's go get In-N-Out. I'm like, okay. And then it's like, I didn't leave In-N-Out till like midnight. And then it was like, and then you're up and
Right.
stuff because you just ate and you just ran around.
You're
and stuff.
revved up. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
adrenaline's going.
You're 100% you.
I didn't fall asleep till like 1:30, almost 2 in the morning. And it was just like the Thursdays and the Tuesdays after a 10 o'clock softball game, not great.
Not good. Yeah.
Great.
Well, now you have a full status report out there in the audience of all of our fractured states of mind.
It's also a
heading into
Thursday,
this
so,
program. There are some days where this show comes together like a snap, and there are some days where I stare at the rundown and just go, what the heck
There
are we
wasn't
going to
really
talk about?
any live sports. It wasn't
today?
like there was an Aztecs game last
was
night.
nothing.
There was nothing
Absolutely
last night.
nothing.
Right.
No.
Shea scored 52 in a loss. Wow, there, we just covered the NBA for you. Like, there was, I guess, some NHL games.
I watched the bad performance of TCU in Lubbock. That was about it. But that was at 4 o'clock. And then after that, there was nothing else on that I watched.
But despite it all, gang, we got a pretty darn good show for you today. Sometimes it just comes together late, but it comes together.
It's our Wednesday, too, on the show because we're working Saturday.
Yeah.
Something I also thought about today. You're right.
Extra show this week.
I said at 12 o'clock yesterday, halfway through our work week, it was 1 o'clock was halfway through our work week. We got an extra 2 on Saturday. Hey, no, we're excited about it. Saturday, FanFest. First tranche of tickets sold out, I heard.
Time for fans to be festive.
We'll be out there. 97.3 The Fan will be out there. 6 straight hours broadcasting live with you. Just taking your regular daily shift and cutting it in half and presenting it. So 10 to 12, Ben and Woods. 12 to 2, Annie and Elsten.
Hey.
2 to 4, Gwen and Chris.
Let's go.
We'll be there. We'll be there. We got some great guests coming in the first hour of our show.
I'm excited for our guests.
That'll be fun. Things that we could keep and replay later in the weekend.
We replay them every day.
Just think about it that way, Annie. We can create some content we can recycle later in the week. So we'll get those 2 hours back.
We can use the answers as sounding off boards of take it different ways.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something real quick. It's just been on my mind, and Charisma's in the chat, and I know she's going to know. You know when the Padres did the Padres have a Luis Ariz bobblehead last year?
Yes, they bought it from the Marlins.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say.
They repainted it.
I see a lot of bobblehead talk about trades and all this. Remember, Luis Ariz came to the Padres, and the Marlins, along with sending Luis Ariz, sent his bobbleheads that were yet to be painted. So bobbleheads could mean something, and they also couldn't. That's just your PSA for the day. They could be part of a trade as well.
Like, is the Cease bobblehead is
We
supposed
would
to be
like
after
to
the
trade
trade
Dylan
deadline?
Cease and his trove of bobbleheads.
No, I just hear a lot of there's a bobblehead for him, so maybe he's not going to be traded. Maybe. I mean, I guess that could be true, but remember, Luis Ariz was traded with his bobbleheads. So. And
but Kim had a bobblehead in August last year.
He did.
And then they never traded him.
And they didn't trade him. That's right. So maybe the bobblehead has a deeper meaning. That's fine. That's fine. You know what? Keep your bobblehead hopes alive.
All right. Here's what's coming up. We're going to talk trade in the first couple of hours in general. When we come back, we will hear John Morosi earlier this morning discussing on MLB Network the idea behind the Padres trading Dylan Cease and Michael King. Is this well-trod ground? Yes, I feel like we broke this ground back in October. I don't know if I was the first person in the world who was like the Padres need to trade Cease, but maybe. We'll get to that. Later in the hour, Harold Reynolds offered his thoughts, which I just couldn't disagree with more, and we'll present that. Jeff Passan has had some thoughts today.
Jeff Passan had some thoughts. We don't hear from Jeff Passan a lot, I feel like. We don't. So it's he had a few things to say.
Morosi then, apparently later as I was on the way to work, threw out a whole nother thing and tried to advance reporting into a maybe Cubs Cease trade, which I would definitely feel a certain kind of way about if it happened, trading him to a direct wildcard contender. But nonetheless, we will get into all of that in the first half of the show. Coming up in the second half of the show, 12 o'clock Sports Fix. Tom Krasovic will join us at 12:20.
What's up, Tom?
San Diego Union Tribune had a very interesting column today, looking more closely at parity in baseball, kind of putting it on the skewer just a little bit in terms of what everyone says for MLB parity and comparing it to the National Football League. Later on, we'll play our silly game. That'll be Fast Money. 1 o'clock hour, we're going to get into some prospect talk. Not only Keith Law, but Kylie McDaniel from ESPN putting out not only their top 100 rankings, but now their top 200 rankings, now their system-by-system rankings. Where do the Padres rank? Some of it is kind of rank. It's not great. But we'll get into it. Fouls will be issued when we discuss the renaming of the hockey club in Utah.
Did they rename it?
No, but they're doing an event to rename it. Once it's renamed, the fouls are off the board.
I'm not going to look it up. I'm just going to go into it blind.
Please.
Yeah.
Please. That'll be.
Are there finalists? Do they pick finalists for them to vote on?
We have finalists. We have a favorite eliminated, and we have a brand new contender.
Okay. I look forward to hearing these names.
Off the top rope, we have a brand new contender.
Were these fan-made names, or did they just come out of nowhere, or like the club?
2 fan-made. One created out of nowhere by the club.
Oh, by the club.
Is the Yeti in there?
It will not be in there.
Dang it.
Because
It's
of
a foul in Utah.
He draws the foul.
Because of the cooler company.
Oh, yeah.
That's why. Sense. Straight up.
Oh, they weren't allowed to do that.
Couldn't come to a term agreement with the manufacturer of, drink containers and coolers known as Yeti.
Yeah.
And they tried. Oh, they tried.
You tried.
But they failed.
You couldn't spell Yeti a different way.
No, right. Yeti with a Z.
Yeah.
Just figure it out. Zeti. No, they didn't go that way. But they came up instead with a probably doesn't work workaround.
That's great.
They
So
could do abdominal snowman.
I was just gonna
talk
say
about
it,
the abs
Brandon.
of the snowman.
I
was like,
think
can
the
they be
abdominal
the
snowman.
Utah
Abdominal,
abdominal snowman?
not abdominal.
And they could have them with their hockey stick with all the six packs. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
that would be like a great promo. And then you could, oh my God, and then you could give out like 6-pack,
Yeah.
like a soft, belts.
Then you get Yeti.
Yeah.
Then you get Yeti to sponsor the 6-pack.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Hire us.
Tell you what, check LinkedIn. You might have a job opening
Yeah.
somewhere within Utah Hockey Club to figure this all out. So all of that's still to come here on Annie and Elsten
Abs
this
versus
morning.
abs.
Oh, that'd be great. What a rivalry that would be between Salt Lake and between Utah and Colorado.
Yes. Abs versus abs.
Oh, man. What a missed opportunity.
I hope they listen to our show.
They don't.
I hope so too.
Not at all. Not even close. Not even a second.
I see the finalist names. It's just such a disappointment. No fun league, corporate America. Thanks.
All right. When we come back, we might be getting from the abstract to the specific when it comes to Dylan Cease. And in fact, according to one, wrong as much as he's right, but nonetheless out there all the time, MLB Insider, Dylan Cease might be the domino that baseball is waiting to fall in order for the rest of the market to sort itself out. And something that he proposed, I don't even know if it's possible at all. But if it was, I'd be A-OK with it. We're going to get to that story when we come back. It's Annie and Elsten underway. We're rolling till 2 o'clock. It is San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:23 on the Fan. Bet you we got a full line of day of liners again today, don't we?
We got multiple giveaways, multiple liners. Biggest fan coming up at
Let me
1.
load that big boy up. Here it is. The Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. And all you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to 97.3 The Fan for at least 1 hour, and that will earn you a daily entry into this national contest. The grand prize is travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination, where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. Wow. Plus $20,000 cash.
That's
so some
awesome.
Details. Circa Stadium Swim.
That's great prize.
Stadium Swim.
Wait, this is for what? What is this one called?
This is the ultimate Slam Dunk in Vegas. The Slam Dunk in Vegas.
Slam Dunk in Vegas.
Slam Dunk in Vegas. Slam Dunk in Vegas. National contest. Not to be confused with Biggest Fan.
No.
Which is a different contest.
Yeah.
Name coming up at 1.
Darlene will be waiting. Was her name Darlene yesterday?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Nor our giveaway of Aztecs basketball tickets against Wyoming, which will also happen during this show today. So we're just chock full of stuff.
Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Hey.
We're going to. We're going to give it all away between here and 2 o'clock. We're giving up the game. We're giving it all to you. Coming up at 1 o'clock, the Biggest Fan. Okay. Let's get into it. There's plenty of things that we can dig into here. But let's start with earlier this morning on MLB Network. John Morosi. He was on with Matt Viscursion and Harold Reynolds.
Metav.
And they were talking about this, that, and the other thing, as usual. But this segment was of about 3.5 minutes length, was devoted to Padres talk. It was devoted to Padres trade talk. And we're going to start off here by playing you the first minute 40 or so. And that's John Morosi taking a question from Matt Viscursion and talking about the potential of trading a Dylan Cease or trading a Michael King.
And we're going to end up hearing from John Morosi, Harold Reynolds, Jeff Passan, and just sometimes it's good to hear what people are saying nationally. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen or any of that, but
Right.
we just get a little taste of what the outside perception is a little bit.
Indeed. So here we go with JP Morosi.
Padres might be listening on a couple of premier starters. Michael King's name has popped a little bit, so has Dylan Cease's. Is this a real thing? Would they be willing to make a trade with one of those guys?
It is, Matt, because of something you and Harold talked about earlier on in the show, is that because of payroll considerations, the Padres are having a difficult time adding significant free agents. And so as a result, what you have to do potentially is make the difficult call to move out one of your high-level starting pitchers to bring back maybe a little bit of offensive talent, but also, very importantly, some financial flexibility. So, and again, credit Ken Rosenthal for his report about Michael King. Let's think about this. Whether it's Cease or King, hypothetically, if they find a way to trade Dylan Cease to a team like Baltimore, which has had interest, or King, for example, but the difference is that Cease is going to make about $13 million. King still has a pending arbitration case, which is a significant element in all this, too. But if you trade Dylan Cease and you bring back some young offense at basically the league minimum level from a team like Baltimore, then you can apply the money that Cease would have been making and sign a Jack Flaherty, hypothetically, who, by the way, played for Mike Schilt in St. Louis and knows Mike Schilt well, has got a very good relationship. So if you find a way to bring in Flaherty with the money that Cease was going to make on a per-year basis, give or take a little bit, and you bring in some young talent from Baltimore, which has a very position player-rich farm system, that, I think, is why, Matt, we're still seeing a bit of a lag in the free agent market, because this potential trade piece from San Diego may be the thing that actually starts to get that boulder rolling down the hill with some of these free agent signings.
All right, right there. Thoughts on a series of dominoes falling, as John Morosi wanted to put them together?
I mean, John Morosi's been around baseball a long time. I think that he tends to hear things, and could be on the pulse of things. I don't know how much Michael King's arbitration case matters, because you know the number, right? Like if you're another team trying to trade from, you know the highest that he's going to get that year is that other number, is the 8 point whatever that his camp decided. But I mean, I think this is kind of what we've been talking about, right? Like this is the possibility for Dylan Cease that he could go and the Padres fill some holes. I still don't know what you do with your rotation necessarily, but AJ's got to have a plan for that.
Well, it's laid out by Morosi. I mean, you could go get a Flaherty if you wanted to, or what, to me, it's with these trades is, and people were asking me last night, and I'm going to say the same thing that we've been saying. Preller always shops around, and if there's a deal to be had, he will make said deal. And out of those 3 players that are always getting listed, Cease, King, Arise, whoever brings back the most value will be the one player that gets traded. I doubt they trade multiple assets. I doubt they trade more
Cease
than
and King,
or Cease and Arise,
right.
or King. Like any,
I agree.
I don't think I think one of the 3 could potentially get traded. I don't even think it's a guarantee. I think they're still just kind of looking to see what they could potentially get. And if you're the Padres, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you could do this. And I know we'll talk even more about this. But I mean, to me, I think you got to get an arm back. A future arm, because that's where your farm system's really lacking is arms coming up. I mean, you have some position players way down the road. It's either arms or you think about maybe multiple prospects that you could flip for major league talent. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could go with this. But to me, you got to find out a way to be able to replace Cease in the rotation and also get something back. And if you can't replace Cease in the rotation with either acquiring a prospect and then using that money to sign like whoever's available, like a Flaherty, which I still think would be a little bit of a downturn for your rotation, or by being able to trade for an arm and get a future rotation piece that's close, then I don't know what the point in trading the player is. I don't think they're going to trade one of those 3 guys just for a salary dump. It's going to be some type of, we got to refinagle our resources in spots that we have holes.
Well, if they salary dump, if they trade Dylan Cease for 2 not ready for Major League Baseball prospects and don't fill his hole in the rotation and give the starting spot to Johnny Brito,
or if you fill, what I mean by filling his arm in the rotation is he's a great arm in the rotation. He's maybe your ace of the rotation, alongside you, Darvish and Michael King. So you maybe can't fill to that level of talent, but you're hopefully going to be able to fill with a solid kind of starter. Otherwise, you're kind of your rotation's taking a hit.
What we heard yesterday, and we talked about it a lot, we talked about the ZiPS projections. One of the things that the ZiPS projections made clear was that if you didn't replace a Cease or King and you traded him, that it opened up the floor for the Padres to go way, way lower than where it is right now. Right now, you're counting on all the guys you have to be healthy and to stay healthy all year. And by the way, that's a gamble too, right? That every one of your guys that you're counting on is going to stay healthy. Odds are they won't.
And remember, Cease, just like Michael King, they are free agents at the end of the season.
Bingo. So the part of that, which is both the most fanciful and the most interesting, is the idea of the reinvestment. It's the idea of the plan lined up, lining up the dominoes, and that one of those dominoes is the best free agent starter remaining on the market, Jack Flaherty, who last year pitched for $14 million. And I'm not saying he doesn't want more, because he does. He pitched to an ERA, not for nothing, that was lower than Dylan Cease's.
But is he going to get much lower than $14 million?
I think he'd get more.
I do too.
I think he'd get more. However, he's also sitting out there.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been signed. I was just reading an article of him almost begging Detroit to re-sign him.
Yeah.
Being like, come on, I loved it here. Me and Scoob are quite a team. Like, I really revamped things. I love how they handle pitching.
He's been on the campaign
blah.
trail. He was on a few podcasts or a few different shows being like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why. But maybe what's going on is what John Morosi's saying is Dylan Cease clogging up the system? I don't know. Like that. I feel like teams could still make moves without that. But and then the other thing on this too is just like Braden said too, AJ Preller is always turning over rocks, kicking over rocks and seeing what's there. Doesn't necessarily mean that anything might happen, just that maybe talks are being had and he's trying to figure out what's available.
Right. But here's the bottom line. The Padres are over the salary tax threshold right now by about $4 million. They have talked about holding a $200 million payroll, and we go, yay, they're over that.
Elias Diaz.
Right. Elias Diaz.
Took them over the edge, guys.
Yeah. Pushed it. They were a little over. Now they're a little more over, and we all know that's not where they're going to finish. Someone's getting traded off this team. Someone's going, because the alternative to that is staying over the number, which we know they won't do.
Although they did say, where I get a little confused is them saying we're going to be in the top 10. So the top 10, like we mentioned, is that 205, 210? Like, is there a chance? But I don't see how they would want to go over the CBT and pay the tax for such a small number, right?
Yeah. Right. However, just to finish this up as we go to break and answer one question I saw in the chat, it was like, well, how would trading Cease and signing Flaherty make the Padres better? The way it would make the Padres better is you would have a guaranteed another starter beyond 2025. You'd sign Flaherty to some sort of long-term deal. You'd sign him to some sort of long-term deal that would lower his average annual value, that would allow him to fit within your financial constraints. But then you could project forward Darvish, Musgrove returning, Flaherty. There's our three that we start with for 2026, 2027. And then we are working on the Vasquez-Waldron prospect trade ad, level for the remainder of the rotation. But right now, your rotation going into 2026 is age 40 Yu Darvish, Musgrove coming off Tommy John surgery, Waldron, Vasquez. That's your 1, 2, 3, 4 going into next year, unless you find a way to re-sign Michael King, which is not impossible and could be done, but is another thing that you have to think about in terms of salary constraints and everything else. So the idea here is you flip Cease, but you reinvest the money, and then you're getting young offensive pieces coming back that are controllable, that help this team, that deepen the lineup, that improve the 7, 8, 9 spots in the lineup from where they are right now.
Yeah, and we talked about this. A.J. Preller probably has some tough decisions to make. In his world and the front office, the baseball ops land, I'm sure they would love to keep everyone or be able to sign guys to big contracts or pick up someone that's on the free agent market for a lot of money. But he might have to make these difficult decisions where it's a risk, but you got to take the best, most calculated risk you can.
And we saw some of the rumors about what the Padres potentially might be wanting with the Cubs. With the Cubs being an interesting, like Matt Shaw's the number one prospect. He's 23 years old. He's in AAA. He could make the majors this year. That's a huge piece that you would be able to get back. That's an infielder, shortstop. That who knows where you could him. But then, if you're able to do that, there's a couple things with that. One, if Preller's asking for teams' number one prospects, right? I mean, he's setting the bar super high. That it's who knows if they're actually tradable or not.
For a rental.
For a rental, right. And then if somebody's willing to do that, then they'll pull the trigger. But if not, maybe they will be content with what they have. Again, they're just asking. If they're going to ask for the world, go ahead. Ask for all three of those guys for the world and see if somebody flinches and gets you more value than you were expecting. To answer your question, Annie, according to FanGraphs, there are 8 teams in baseball that have a higher payroll going into 2025 than the Padres. So they currently sit at 9.
At their current payroll?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That's according to FanGraphs.
It just is a little confusing because we don't know what the final numbers will be, I guess. But I just looked at last year. Last year, the number 10 payroll was 210 or something, and then it dropped like 170. But
Padres are 211 at number 9.
Yeah, and just I want to wrap. We got to go to break. We've torched the clock this hour. But Brandon 619 says, "I'm confused. Why wouldn't they just do what Craig just said about Flaherty with Cease? Because Dylan Cease, gang, is a Scott Boras client who is going to price himself at Corbin Burns, Max Fried levels. That's where he intends to go to market. Is $200+ million contract." And we all know the Padres aren't going to pay that. We all know that. Everybody knows that. Dylan Cease knows that. Scott Boras knows that. The Seidlers know that. Everybody knows that. That's why. Flaherty has already been out on this market and seen the other pitchers go off the board ahead of him. He knows where he is in the pecking order. I think it's ridiculously improbable that they would ever sign Jack Flaherty or that they would even come within 100 miles of having the money that they would be willing to use to sign Jack Flaherty.
Is he watching the names go off the board as a ball zips past him into the dugout, or?
Right, and he's yelling. And that's the other thing. We're all like, hey, screw you, Jack Flaherty.
I'm just kidding.
You thought, someone in the chat was like, Flaherty's a clubhouse cancer. Apparently the cancer metastasized into a championship for LA when he pitched really well in the World Series.
And players are remarkably, they can compartmentalize things. I mean, it's you get heated in the moment, but then nothing sometimes a good steak dinner can't erase.
Yeah, and if you're putting your expectation level as the Padres should be expected to pay for a Dylan Cease contract extension, guys, you're setting it too high. You just are. You're setting it too high. When's the last time the Padres gave out a giant pitching contract? It's Jake Peavy. They traded him within a year.
And then they traded him.
They traded him within a year. It's just
that's
unrealistic.
That's a previous ownership.
It's just unrealistic. Here's something else unrealistic. The team moving off Fernando Tatis Jr. But that's exactly what Harold Reynolds thinks they should do. We'll play that for you next. Annie and Elsten on the Fan. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fans, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. Get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Welcome back. Annie and Elsten here with you. As usual, talking about a Padres offseason while nothing is happening allows every dark thought, every conspiratorial theory, everyone's, various filters to be placed just with a great, knowing, grunt. I know what's going on. And it leads us down these dark corners. And eventually, we'll actually have a baseball team on the field, and all of this stuff will dissipate. And eventually, A.J. Preller's going to make some moves.
Yeah, he has to.
He has to. He will. And again, a lot of folks, it's amazing to me, like the short-term memory loss that's going on. Right now, there's an argument in the chat. Well, why, if you think the Padres can't sign, what about Hader? What about Snell? Why didn't he trade them? Guys, did we all get bonked on the head this morning? 2023, Peter Seidler's last year of life, where the Padres had the third highest payroll in history, where they struggled badly all summer, but the organization was not going to give up on that year of baseball. In a different universe, should they have traded Blake Snell? Maybe. Probably. In another universe, should they have traded Josh Hader that year? Yes. Yes. Missed opportunity. Why'd they miss that opportunity, gang? Because they wanted to win for you, the fans of San Diego. They still believed that their $265 million payroll club was a winner. And they were proven right by winning 16 out of 18 at the end of the year to finish with a winning record. But it was the most damn frustrating season I've experienced in my child or adulthood life as a baseball fan, covering that and following that 2023 team. But they didn't give up because they didn't want to give up in Peter Seidler's last year of life. And now, here we are. 2025, different world. Different world. You had to trade Juan Soto last year. And you probably have to trade someone this year. And that's the new world that we're living in now.
Yeah, the 2023, sometimes it's hard, too, for front offices and baseball ops to kill their babies. And I know that's a horrible term, my goodness, but that's a term that we use in news when you're editing something, because everything is so precious to you and you've put so much time and effort into it that you've got to pare it down, but it's so hard to, right? And I think that sometimes that can be difficult sometimes for a front office to do as well, because there's such a belief. I know for that baseball ops, there was such a belief that they were going to turn it around and that there was no way that this team wasn't going to make the playoffs. That was also the year that Manny Machado he wanted to keep playing. He could have gotten that arm surgery a little earlier, and that's no fault to him at all. That was his decision, his body, but he wanted to keep trying to get things going and maybe give themselves a chance. And that's what prolonged his surgery eventually. So, there's only so much you can do sometimes in terms of those sorts of things, because hindsight is 2020. Should you make those tough decisions sometimes? I would argue yes. Sometimes you do need to look and realistically say, do we have it this year? Do we have it this year truly? But it can be very difficult to say no to that question after you've invested so much.
Now, everyone's got their opinion. Everyone looks at it from the outside. Harold Reynolds doesn't pay much attention to Padres baseball. But we played you last segment the clip of John Morosi talking in a progressive manner, reporting that the Padres are talking to teams moving through a potential deal that could happen with Baltimore. We know Baltimore has interest in Dylan Cease to replace Corbin Burns on top of their rotation. And then furthering that by saying what the Padres could do is reinvest that money into another free agent starting pitcher, have a longer-term commitment that broadens the window in the 2020s and capitalizes on the resources that you get back for trading Dylan Cease. That's what Morosi said. Harold Reynolds responded with, nah, trade Tatis instead. And here's what he had to say.
Tell you why this makes no sense to me. If I'm moving anybody, the pitching is what made the Padres rise to where they're at. Their starting rotation's as good as anybody. They had the bullpen, they put all that stuff together. They pitched, they put them in games. Manny, you can't move that contract.
Nope.
Bogarts, not moving that contract. There's one player that can change the whole direction of this organization, that's Tatis. And I'm putting him on the market to trade. And you know how many teams are going to hop in at that number, at that young player to go get him? And now I keep my pitching. I'll get back something for Tatis, and we will keep this thing rolling. But to go and say I'm getting rid of my pitching, you know how hard it is to find pitching in today's game? I just don't see it.
It's a fair point, Harold, and I would say this. With Cease and King, the reason why we're hearing their names right now is that they have only 1 year left before they become free agents. And so that is a real challenge for the Padres about what their future-looking rotation could be. They've got Darvish, who, of course, is starting to get up there into his later 30s. There are some questions about how the back end of that rotation fills out. So you're right about the value of Tatis.
He saves the organization. He just does.
He is. But think about this, Harold. We are now January 28th. The potential of being able to fully vet out the marketplace when a lot of other teams have already made their decisions. I think it's. I get the idea.
Come on,
it's a little bit too late right now to start that process.
You got 1 day to make a move. You can do it in a heartbeat.
I don't know that you're going to get the kind of response that you think you're going to get on that. Tatis' number is still really big.
Yeah, but
but
it's reasonable now.
Yeah.
I love John Morosi's face when he was saying that. He was like, I don't want to disrespect you, Harold, but this isn't going to happen.
That'd be catastrophically bad.
It would be catastrophically bad.
It'd be the dumbest trade in the history
of the team. It
really
would. And, it speaks also to Tatis's contract, which we've talked about a lot, which is honestly a really good contract, assuming that he's able to perform to the level. It doesn't always have to be an MVP level, but the level that, the team was banking on when they gave him that contract, which is a high level, an elite level, most years of that contract. And stay healthy, right? But that is a significantly team-friendly contract. The longer it goes on, if he can do that, and I do think other teams would take him in a heartbeat. But that's your heart and soul of the Padres. That'd be devastating to the organization.
This makes perfect sense to someone like Harold Reynolds because people in New York who cover national baseball believe the Padres to be, like most of baseball, a farm system for the top 6 clubs in baseball. So they've been so inculcated into the idea that what is happening in baseball is right and fair and good, that they just naturally in their minds always move the best players who aren't on LA, New York, Chicago to LA, New York, or Chicago and say, well, yeah, it's okay now, but what if he was a Yankee? It's okay now, but what if he was a Dodger? Then it would be even better. And, of course, it would make sense for San Diego because they get so much stuff. Fernando Tatis Jr. has one of the best contracts in all of Major League Baseball. All of it. Look where the market is now. Look where it was in 2019 or 21 when that contract was put together. That contract has aged like fine wine. Trading it would be significantly handicapping you for the next 12 years, 11 years, the next 11 years. That's what it would be doing. Unless we're getting back Acuna.
Unless you're getting a player back that in his career will be better than Fernando. That's the only way it makes sense, is if you got a player that at the end of his career put up numbers, but it's all said and done, that's going to be better than Fernando. Your odds of finding one of those players are very, very slim.
And he'd have to waive his no-trade clause. Which happens, which we've seen players do. They can decide that they will go to another team. But
what happens when the Padres usually trade these good players to the other league? Where do they usually end up? Somewhere in the division for no reason. Could you imagine?
Like, Yankees, Mets?
Well, I think Adrian Gonzalez, right? He gets traded to the Red Sox. I don't have to worry about him. He's in the Red Sox. And the Red Sox are like, oh, yeah, we'll trade him to L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine? I don't even want to
picture with the Giants.
Fernando in a NL West uniform that's not the Padres.
Every year, somebody at 30 Rock tries to trade Fernando Tatis. And one time it's Brian Kenny, and one time it's Harold Reynolds, and one time it can be Morosi, or it can be Dan Plesac or whoever. But every year, 3 times a year, in their mind, they trade Tatis. Because in their mind, they can't stomach the thought that a great player would stay in San Diego for the length of his career as opposed to moving to one of the major markets, which is what they just assume is what all good players should do. Because baseball's system is broken. but everyone's so deep in it that they think it's fine. Urgh, this really ticks me off. Hour number 1 is done. Better not trade Tatis now, today, or ever. Back with hour number 2 next. Coming up, this segment on Annie and Elsten, an opportunity to win Aztecs basketball tickets for Saturday night's game against Wyoming. Grab tickets now at goaztecs.com, but stay tuned.
Also, I read Ziegler's 3 things, and in defense of Braden, he said, yes, the record stands in those scarlet jerseys, those red jerseys, but there have never been good wins. They're bad wins in those scarlet jerseys. So he defended your honor a little bit there.
I'm just saying what San Diego State people were saying before USD played them. They were all up in arms about the scarlet jerseys, and USD responded with, well, we're wearing our black uniforms that we haven't worn in a long time, and we haven't necessarily played well in these either. So I don't know. Is a jersey cursed if the wins are bad? I don't know if it is or not. If you're 5-0 in the jersey, but the wins are all bad, are the jerseys really cursed?
That's a tough choice.
Well, I think the fact that the coaching staff itself shelved the jerseys for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
We're not wearing these anymore.
Yeah, this is one of those if you know situations.
And then brought them out. So one day they're just hanging in the lockers.
Yeah. And the kids are like, oh, these are cool. And then they take a game they're a 16-point favorite, and they need a layup at the end to win it. And they're like, wow.
Burn the jerseys, burn the ships.
You need a little saging of the jerseys or something. Put them in some kind of chest and do a little ceremony over them. See what you can do.
The saging?
The saging.
Maybe just shred them?
Do they need a third jersey?
Everybody needs a third
They've
jersey.
got the turquoise ones that they always wear.
They only wear it once.
Yeah,
though.
they wear it once. I mean, they could
That's
branch
like
out.
They're trying to have a good fit. They're trying to.
What does Jumpman say?
Jumpman.
That's
Jumpman.
the brand. I mean, that's
Right.
usually who makes the decisions on those things.
I mean, I would consider moving away from those uniforms. Bless you.
There are contracts with those uniforms too. Usually, I don't know San Diego State's, but I remember when I was at TCU. In order to be part of their Nike flagship programs, which was like Oregon, TCU, and there was like 5 others.
Just do it.
Where they would as part of the deal, they would try out new uniforms and styles with the schools. They had to wear certain jerseys that they got 4 times in the season to renew their contract.
Oh.
And so there was my junior year, they had some ugly frog skin look like it was a frog skin jersey. It was like gray. It looked like gray camo, and they were awful. And I just remember going we should never wear these again. And my boss at the video we have to wear these 4 times this year in some sort of fashion. And so they just try to grind it out. And then after that year, hadn't seen them they were like, oh, renew the contract, give us the new uniforms. We're not wearing these again.
Get rid of the frog skin.
Yeah, we didn't like those, Nike.
Goodbye.
We'll try a different one. So the uniform rules and with all these deals with these apparel companies are very fascinating. And there were some other ones. They had some they have like a spit blood version at TCU that they always have every year that Nike renews. And some years they're good in the spit blood, and some years they're not. But they have to wear them a certain amount of times in order to get the new spit blood for a deal. And so that's why sometimes it's the case. That's because horned frogs spit blood out of their eyes. Annie, did you know that?
What?
You didn't know that? Horned frog's defense mechanism as an animal or whatever, lizard, it's basically a lizard, they shoot blood out of their eyes to ward off predators.
This process is called auto-hemorrhaging.
Yes. They spit blood out of their eyes
super effective.
all over the
What
animal.
do these jerseys look like? Is it like blood spatters?
Well, they have we're purple and black, and then they just have accent of red in different spots. And so they have the spit blood.
The blood is laced with toxic chemicals from the venomous ants they eat, making it taste bad to predators.
Yes, and then they run away. The spit blood. Yeah, so they have spit blood jerseys from Nike.
Nature is amazing.
It is. You've never seen the meme where it's they have this horned frog and it's spitting blood out of its eyes, and it's like
I haven't.
And it's a blood bank, and then the blood bank guy goes like, "Sir, you've been here. Wait, you need to leave. This is your 5th time this week. Time to go."
So
anyway,
venomous ant blood.
Yes.
That's right.
It's not great.
It's not great for the blood donations.
They scare off predators like wolves, coyotes, and bobcats.
Yeah, the lizards of West Texas. But anyway, so those scarlet jerseys could have a contract of some kind. I don't know for sure, but I just, from my history of dealing with certain apparel companies with different schools, sometimes they have deals where you have to wear a jersey a certain amount of times. So it could be out of their hands in general.
Okay.
It's good to know.
I've learned a lot.
Yeah, we've learned a lot in this segment already.
I do. I feel way more informed.
Jerseys, blood,
Spit blood.
frogs, spit
Yeah.
bloods,
So wait.
ant venom.
Hang on. I guess I'm not done. So is the ant venom already in the horned frog's blood, and it is immune to the venom, and so always horned frog blood is venomous? Or is there like a venom sac, or is it in other words, is it pre-mixed, or is it mixed upon the shooting of the blood
Or is it
out
like
of
a-
the eye?
It's like a venom place, like a snake.
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's-
Is there like a little venom pouch in the eye where it mixes with the blood to make the nasty blood?
I don't know. It is a lizard, so it's not even a frog, but I digress on that.
Okay, hold on.
What does the Wikipedia say as we learn about animals here and our favorite mascots?
We were going to play a Jeff Passan clip.
Well, no, I
but
wanna
like
hear
this
Jeff
better,
Passan.
honestly.
Short-horned lizards. Oh, no, lizards.
That's what they
Never
are.
mind.
they
are
lizards. They're
lizards?
lizards.
Okay,
Yeah.
aren't affected by the venom of the harvester ants they feed on because a chemical in their blood plasma neutralizes it.
Got it.
That's a good question.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the answer. They are pre-immune to the ant venom.
Yeah.
They have evolved
Yes.
using
I'm telling you,
evolution.
nature is incredible.
Evolution.
Yeah.
Hashtag spit blood. Anyway, split blood
Hashtag
jerseys. This started with the
spit
Aztec scarlet
blood.
jerseys.
Hashtag spit blood. This is what happens when you have a TCU alum on the show.
Yes.
You
learn
gain
a lot about
knowledge.
frogs.
About the horned frogs.
Lizards, which
Yeah.
aren't hard, but they're called horned frogs.
They're
but
called horned
lizards.
frogs. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a slang term, but they're really lizards. You ever
This is-
You ever see the movie Holes? The yellow spotted lizards. Those are just horned frogs.
This is one of the wildest mascots around,
It's great.
by far.
Super frog.
Okay. In our first hour, in the last couple segments, we played through the clip on MLB Network this morning, presumably MLB Now. John Morosi talking about maybe trading Dylan Cease and maybe using that money to sign another starting pitcher. He mentioned Jack Flaherty. I still can't imagine that Jack Flaherty's in our price range, but cool. And then Harold Reynolds was like, nah, just trade Tatis. You'll get the world for him, and then you can keep your pitching.
For one more year.
Yeah. So just one piece of that logic that needed to have a little balloon poked in it before we move on. Do you know what Corbin Burns just got, everybody, in free agency? Do you know? $35 million a year. Okay. Do you know what the average value of Fernando Tatis Jr.'s deal is? Let's go 340 divided by 14. It's $24.3 million a year.
Yep.
So if you traded Fernando Tatis Jr. off the team, and sure, you got whatever, a big league ready piece, 2 top 10 prospects, whatever, a star relief, anything, whatever, the grand package. And you're like, oh, well, now we can re-sign Dylan Cease. Nope. The money doesn't cover. The math doesn't math. It doesn't work. It literally doesn't work. Even Machado's average annual value of his deal is equivalent to what the top flight starting pitchers are now getting per year on the market. So, as much as we've had like an hour of folks in our chat going, bad contracts, I've come around in some ways on these deals.
Well, I think it depends on how they finish their deals.
Sure. Well, yeah.
I mean, what's their production like? Because they've only all played. None of them are to the halfway point, even, right?
Yeah. No, not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. Xander Bogaerts has not lived up to his deal. Not at all. But that doesn't mean that he can't, over the next 9 years, make the deal make sense. Manny Machado is playing to the level of his contract. People get upset about that. He's playing to the level of his contract. Tatis is playing to the level of his contract. And those deals look like better bargains every year that new deals are signed.
Oh yeah, and if these guys, which is why you sign these guys to these kinds of deals, if they're the ones that are the backbone of why the Padres go deep into the playoffs and into a World Series championship, then you look at those, and I'm not saying that they have to win a championship for it to all make sense, those contracts. That's asking for a lot, and hopefully they do, but in terms of like, that's the hope there, right? Like, is like these big contracts are the guys who are going to help you compete year after year and have a chance year after year. And that's kind of what you're hanging your hat on, because that financial flexibility, at least right now, is not very fluid.
When the Padres have had previous ownership issues, Moores, Morad, okay, the team couldn't afford to keep one salaried player. Jake Peavy is the perfect example of this, that was signed to a very reasonable deal to stay and be the anchor of the Padres pitching staff for most of his career. And within a year, Jeff Morad couldn't afford to even have him around, and he was traded away. The current situation of the Padres with an ownership situation, they can't tear this team down to the studs. 1993, the group of 12, it was torn down to the studs. 2002, it was torn down to try and be rebuilt in 2004. 2008 and 9, it was torn down. And 2010, they made a move to get back toward contention. And then it was down until 2015. So that can't happen in the 2020s with the Padres because of the deals that are quite often maligned by fans, by Padre fans going, well, we signed him to too big a deal. But you can't move Machado, you can't move Bogarts. That's bad, but it's also good because you get to keep them.
Yeah, exactly. And as those numbers go up, you might not have been able to make those deals happen. And again, it's like the story's yet to be written, but they could end up being lucrative deals for the team. Interestingly, when Ron Fowler and Peter Seidler and the O'Malley Group, when they first bought the Padres from Murad, they were so high in debt that the organization was incredibly high in debt, like just like how it has been the last few years or whatever. And Ron Fowler was the control person then, and he had to take the team down off the debt. They also got their hand slapped then, right? Like, you've got to come, new ownership, great. Your first task is to lower that debt and get yourselves back to a reasonable number. Then they got to build back up with the Will Myers, the Hosmer, the Machado. Then they hit this debt again and back to a more reasonable whatever. And now maybe you can build back up depending on how much flexibility you have in the future. But like, that's been the kind of the ebb and flow depending on what ownership and like how conservative some owners are versus others. But, eventually the debt's going to, eventually if you have too much debt, you're going to have to lower it at some point.
Yes, and that's where the Padres were in 2023. And, that reporting from earlier this week is so important. Let's put a pin in it. We'll come back. We'll talk more about it. And we'll bring you what Jeff Passan had to say today about where the Padres are and the rock and the hard place that they're kind of stuck in between. All of that after this quick timeout. Annie and Elsten rolling till 2 o'clock. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Great news, California sports fans. Underdog is available to play in your state. The best app for your big game party. It's actually right there on your phone, and it's called Underdog, the best place to cash in on all your takes during the big game. Which players are going off? Which ones are ice cold? You can make your entries in just a few taps. It's daily fantasy sports, and it is ramped up to 11. You can pick your favorite leagues, teams, and stars, and think about which player is going to go higher and lower on a key stat during either the big game coming up for the NFL or every regular season NBA, NHL, college basketball, the golf league, PGA Tour right now at Pebble Beach. All of these are available for you to play on Underdog, the only pick'em platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. You can keep riding with your entry or tap win now and cash out whenever you want. Underdog's the best place to play pick'em. Download the app, sign up with promo code Craig, C-R-A-I-G, and deposit now. You can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code Craig. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. All right, well, I screwed up. I said last segment we were going to give away the tickets, and then we hit the time boundary, and then I didn't. So I'm going to do it right now. Going to do it right now. Be caller number 3 at 833-288-0973 right now. Caller number 3, 833-288-0973. You will win 2 tickets to Saturday's San Diego State basketball game against Wyoming. Good luck to you. Be the caller now. Be the caller 3, 833-288-0973. Why did why did I pick caller 3? Because, 3-pointer. That's it.
Hey.
Pew. Nail it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be losing Braden for a couple minutes as he goes and screens the contest out. You want to just, you know what? I'll wait for you, Braden. When you're back, give me a high sign, and then we'll click play on Jeff Passan.
Yeah.
And we'll do that then. We can absolutely continue on. In the interim, And I just think it's such an interesting place that we're in right now for Padres baseball. And every day that something goes by, everyone wants to say this, that, and the other thing, you know? And so I go back to the depth chart from last year. You know, I go back to looking at where this team was and where this team is today, and they've got enough to be a winning team.
I agree.
This year.
They have enough to be competitive. They have a good core. I fully expect there to be a lot of great moments from this team, you know, and big wins. And I think that they're in a good spot. There's their second year with Mike Schilt. They know what they're kind of coming into. They know that they want to build off of last year. I would imagine that no one feels great about those 24 scoreless innings. You know, you're going to want to get that taste out of your mouth. And this is a team that, as I've said before, they kind of like being the underdog. They like being counted out. They like to unite and say, okay, you guys are all counting us out. That's fine. That's against the world, you know. So I think that you're going to get all of that. But it's a very talented group, despite the fact that they do need some help in certain areas.
There's 2/3 to 3/4 of an excellent team here, and then there's some spots that right now are open holes. The complicating factors are the ones that we've talked about so many times. But I still feel like we have to just keep putting those stones out in the public square every day almost, because otherwise it leads you down weird roads evaluating what's going on with the San Diego Padres. We had an owner that decided to go on an unprecedented, for his market, spending spree.
Yeah.
One that I would remind you, all the national heads at the time went, hang on, you guys can't do that. Straight up, Ken Rosenthal, not sustainable. John Morosi, not sustainable. You know, all these guys, not sustainable, can't do it. They were generally proven right when in 2023, holding the number 3 payroll in all of Major League Baseball, the San Diego Padres found themselves $100 million in debt midway through the season. Okay? Now, what was the other thing that happened economically during that time? It was the collapse of the Diamond Sports Group.
Yeah.
And Bally Sports San Diego, where the Padres went from having one of the best TV deals for a small market team in Major League Baseball, and by small market, I mean small media market, to having the worst deal in Major League Baseball, which is no deal at all, which is what they've had to do for the last 2.5 seasons, put it under their own banner, purchase their own airtime, pay for their own studio, pay for their own hosts, pay for the production, pay for everything, hope to recoup on $99 memberships, and then beyond that, try and sell advertising, which if you watched Padres TV and you saw the number of times you watched that promotional commercial last year, like, they didn't sell a lot of advertising on Padres TV. So the complicating factor of a team that went into profligate spending for the first time ever, shocked the baseball world, ran up $100 million debt in a very, very short period of time, tried to borrow their way out of that debt, wound up having to actually take money out of the Peter Seidler Trust, $50 million of it, to restore that debt. Then the owner passes away. The ownership goes into a trust. A control person is assigned. A demand is made. You must reduce payroll. That happened last year. Payroll was reduced. The team got under the CBT. And through it all, they found a way not only to be a winning team, but to actually improve their product.
Yeah.
From 2023 to 2024. One of the most remarkable things you could imagine. Why A.J. Preller didn't win Executive of the Year, I'll never understand till I die. I'll never understand that. Okay, but that's all the context now to play what Jeff Passan had to say. This was on the Foul Territory show, one of the John Boy shows that he is on. And if you watch it on YouTube, about 30 minutes in, he chats about the Padres, and here's what he had to say.
Signed one player, it's Donovan Solano. The Padres have not signed anyone at this point.
Elias Diaz, Jeff.
Oh, that's right. They got Elias Diaz yesterday. Thank you. My apologies. It's a shame I forgot that one. There's just been no significant moves to get better.
Right.
And if you're the Padres and you're competing with the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, you kind of need to get better. Isn't that what the postseason taught you? Like, you can't run it back with what you've got, particularly with some free agents leaving already. And the Padres are in a very unfortunate situation right now because they have got they're getting dinged a couple ways. They've got a nasty fight over ownership of the franchise, which is always the sort of thing that can destabilize the product on the field because, if you don't know where the future ownership is going to go, the likelihood of getting spending okayed is a whole lot lower. And they've also got Dylan Cease and Michael King going into their walk year with Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, who's out right now, really being the lone holdovers in that rotation. You can look at Randy Vasquez as well or Matt Waldron, but in reality, those are more back end of the rotation type guys. When you're talking front end starters, Musgrove in his 30s, Darvish in his late 30s. Like this is not a group of pitchers that's getting any younger, and they've traded away so many of their top end guys, top end prospects that the notion that they are going to suddenly be bringing up this groundswell of pitching from the minor leagues, it's not realistic. And so the Padres, it's a real rock and a hard place right now for them.
I guess
it is.
I'm initially surprised.
Thanks, Jeff. No, again, I think it's important sometimes, you hear a little bit about the national perspective. Look, he's not wrong in a lot of areas, right? I think that this is probably how a lot of fans feel. Right. So in that sense, it's like, you can kind of relate to what he's saying. At the same time, and I know this is a broken record at this point, AJ Preller isn't done. He's not done. He's still got moves to make. He's still got things to do. So the final product is yet to be seen.
Precisely. But I think all of that is accurate and fair for context, right? It's accurate to note that the Padres have a local television broadcast disparity situation, which puts them in a hole compared to every one of their compatriots other than Arizona. Colorado doesn't count, so we just skip them. In the National League West, right? Great TV deal in San Francisco, best TV deal in the world in L.A.
Well, the Giants have the same TV deal as the Padres. I'm sorry, the Giants, the
no,
Diamondbacks.
I said everyone but Arizona.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, everyone but
okay.
Arizona. Arizona and us are in the same building. Everyone else is in a great situation. It's fair to note that. It's not an excuse. It's reality. It's also reality that the ownership shakeup does, just like Jeff Passan said, make it more difficult for them to go, yeah, we're going to lock you up on a long-term deal. Because they don't know who's going to be paying for that deal in 3 years, whether it's going to be them or someone else. And usually when you sell a team, you try and make it as clean as possible before you sell it. Well, that'll never be the case for the Padres in the 2020s. The Padres have 100 plus to 170 million plus allocated to every year of the 2020s going forward. So it's never going to be clean. So I think that part you can kind of just take out of the equation. It'll be if they're going to sell it, it's going to be a not as clean sale. Yeah,
an owner typically likes to have the lowest payroll that they can have and the ability to put their stamp on it, right? Like you come in, you get to make your mark, you get to do it your way. Say the Padres did sell, which I don't know that they're selling. I don't have any inclination that they're selling. They don't need to sell, hopefully. But say they did, you would have an owner inheriting all these big long-term contracts. So there'd be, unless, there was a difference in finances, it wouldn't be as clean as like another team. Like the Twins the Twins have lowered payroll, they've frozen things until their new ownership thing goes through.
Correct. Let's take a quick timeout. And when we come back, we'll talk more about this, but also turn it a little bit. Just a reminder, this is almost a FanFest topic. We literally might recycle this on Saturday. But who's somebody on this team, beyond everything else that we're talking about, that you're legitimately excited about for 2025? Something, a rising player, up-and-comer, veteran that you're used to, doesn't matter. Only exception I'm making for this thought exercise is to take Jackson Merrill out of it, because we would all agree Jackson Merrill is the young, exciting player.
He was going to be my answer,
team.
actually.
Yeah,
so
there you go. So answer number 2. You've got a whole commercial break to come up with it. And we'll be back with that after this. It is Annie and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. While you're listening, you can see what you missed and click to listen on demand. If you missed a guest feature or something crazy that happened, we've got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app, search 97.3 The Fan, and tap earlier today, and you can get started. Get rolling. Let's do it. Again, a reminder, we'll be out at FanFest 12 to 2. First ever Saturday Annie and Elsten show.
Mm-hmm.
I remember...
weekend vibes.
Yes, weekend vibes indeed. Back when I was first starting in radio, back at the Mighty 690, Jim Rome was an actual local host there, and he would do a Saturday show. He would do 6 days a week. And he called it the Saturday Scrub Show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was like a thing.
Different era, I know.
Yeah.
Different era. But he would do a Saturday show. He called it Saturday Scrub Show. So we'll be doing the Saturday Scrub Show from 12 to 2, live from FanFest. Can't wait to be out there, be with the fans. And the thing that happens, we're kind of in the middle of it here. We're with you on your flagship station for Padres baseball. We're posting up 20 hours a week. At least 10 to 12 of them, we're usually talking baseball. And when every one of those hours, the Padres aren't making moves, other teams are. Dodgers are signing everyone under the sun, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, everyone else. It gets really easy to kind of get into a despair spiral. I see it in our chat all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like just a despair spiral. It just keeps going and keeps going. Like the Ouroboros, the head is eating the tail of the snake. It just keeps happening over and over. So I thought it'd be a fun, quick exercise. I heard Ben do something somewhat similar earlier today to think about the roster beyond the empty left field or the empty fifth starter spot or whatever you want to do. And think about the players who are here, the players who will be suiting up, the players who will be performing for the San Diego Padres in 2025, and ask a simple question, which is, who are you looking forward to seeing grow in 2025? Who's a player on this team that you're looking forward to seeing a growth, a potential improvement in performance, something that you'd be looking forward to in 2025?
Yeah. There's a lot of answers that come to mind of just, the top players and all the big moments that a lot of those guys have. But I will go, if we can't pick Jackson Merrill, which would be my first choice.
It would be all of our first choices.
I will go with Randy Vasquez. Like I said yesterday, I think Randy Vasquez had a solid year last year. He was really taking to whatever Ruben Niebla told him. I can't wait to see what he did in the offseason and see if he can take a step forward now and full season here under his belt and kind of knowing where he stands in the rotation.
I like that. Randy Vasquez has one major goal for the offseason, and I'm going to be really, really curious come spring training, because I guarantee it'll be brought up, to find out what was discussed, which is, how can you get left-handed hitters out? Mm-hmm. Randy Vasquez just really struggled against left-handed hitters last year to an almost 1,000 OPS. For
Only
the course
room
of the
for
season.
improvement from there.
But yeah, absolutely. But if he has figured out something, a cutter, a changeup, something in the pitch mix that takes left-handed hitters from all being, some version of Barry Bonds to back down toward league average, he dominates right-handers. He was really, really good against right-handers. And when he was pitching last year in the middle of the season, I remember you and I would look at the lineup and say on the show, tonight's a Randy Vasquez struggle night. Tonight's a Randy Vasquez, maybe he could be good night. And it was basically, do they have 5 or 6 lefties in the lineup, or was it 4 or 5 or 3 or 4? So if Vasquez solves that, then I am right there with you, Annie. Then he's got a real chance to grow if he's figured that out. How about you, Braden?
I'm going with pitching as well with Adrian Morejon. I
like that one.
I think he improved a lot last year. I know he was in the bullpen, but they brought him in as an international free agent when he was 16, gave him $5 million to be a starting pitcher, and he's still super young, even though he's feel like he's been part of the organization for probably a decade. If they brought him in at 16, right? It was like 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
feels like he's 30.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because they signed him so young, and he came up at such a young age. I could see he could be a major X factor for the Padres in the rotation. In this rotation where you're trying to save some money and you're thinking about moving seats and all these other things, to help the pitching staff out, a guy like him being able to step up and get stretched out to be a starter and be a future starter in his prime years would go a long way for the Padres. And there was one point midway through the year where he had like not allowed a run for a long period of time, and or a walk. It was like a walk. He didn't allow a walk for like the first half, almost the first half of the season. So to have a lefty like that in the rotation, if he could earn his way to that spot, I think it'd be great for the Padres, and I think he's on my list of players I want to see and look forward to seeing improve here in 2025.
It's a good one.
That is a very good one, and he could be so important.
Yes.
If he gets stretched out, he could be a critical player for this team. Okay, well, we're all going to pick pitchers, as it turns out. Maybe we'll do a second round.
Well, you got rid of Jackson Merrill, so.
Yeah, well, Merrill's the obvious pick. But Merrill also, we just don't know. For Corbin Carroll, for I could find another, Alex Rodriguez. We've gone through the list of some guys who had that amazing first year, second year, take a little bit of a step back. Doesn't make them a lesser player. Just means, Jackson will be at the top of the scouting report this year. Not the exact top. Manny and Taddy will still be up there. But Jackson Merrill is going to be a serious cause for concern for every team that they face this year. And they've got an entire year's worth of data. They've got an entire year's worth of film. All of that's broken down into those iPads that you see all the guys going through. So, there's going to be a strategy on attacking Jackson Merrill from the National League this year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I've seen different things on this. There's some writers who will parse everything and be like, the sophomore slump isn't really a thing. And then there's some writers who are like 70% of a second-year player's slump. I've seen it both ways. I haven't done the deep dive myself to know exactly whose stats are right or how they're looking at it. But it can definitely happen. And I think any great player will tell you they've gone through down years, even after getting off to like a really great start. Jackson, for all we know, is going to come in and dominate again. He tends to make adjustments very well. He's a very smart player, very committed to the craft. However, it's baseball. The pitchers come in ready too. The pitchers come in ready to get you out as well. So we'll see how it goes. But if there's anyone that's going to be making sure that he's ready for the challenge, it's going to be Jackson Merrill.
All right, I'm going to go with a guy who this time last year I was talking about, or maybe a month later, I was talking about on the show, who wound up being a really important part of the San Diego Padres bullpen in 2024. But by the end of the year, when you traded for Scott and you traded for Adam, he became a little bit overlooked, a little bit of a less important part of the bullpen. But come 2025, not only do I think he's going to be a really important part of the bullpen, I think he even could be, in a world where you squinted and imagined a trade or something along the line, he could be the closer for this team. And that's Jeremiah Estrada. Jeremiah Estrada didn't just have a good year last year. He had a good year in the way that you want to in modern Major League Baseball, which is the metrics love Jeremiah Estrada. His stuff is explosive. His rising fastball is truly one of the best pitches in all of Major League Baseball, one of the least hittable pitches. And then that, splitter change? He had a bad, weird word for it last year. It wasn't splinker. It was... Oh, I remember what it was. I don't want to say it because it sounds too too close to a swear word. Yeah. Nonetheless,
starts with a C.
Change up splitter.
Yes.
Yeah, and take the ainge up and the
itter
and the split out of it, and you'll get it. You'll get it right. Yeah, you got it. I need money. That pitch is devastating as well. Jeremiah had a wobble period during the season that you can directly point at as being sickness related. That he tried to pitch through, losing 20 pounds with a crazy stomach flu. Like he was absolutely a weakened version of himself in the middle portion of the year. Before that, he struck out 13 batters in a row. After that, he was a dominant reliever in the National League. There was that very brief period of wobble in the middle. But you can look at it now and go, well, he was sick. He was sick, and he was trying to pitch through it, and he was trying to kind of gut out a situation where he was losing his guts.
And he came back when he was he was ready enough to come back, I guess, but he was not 100% healthy. Like, he pitched for a while that when he was really still struggling quite a bit. And the cool thing about Jeremiah Estrada is also he and Ruben Niebla also very close, but he is so grateful for the opportunity. He's been through so much in his career. He loves San Diego. He loves the fans. He is not taking any part of this for granted. And the fact that, like a team, he finally reached this goal of his that he's had for so long, that the Cubs didn't really see in him, and that he had to really fight through the COVID illness and all kinds of things, never really knew if he was going to make it, to reach the point that he did last year and the reception from the fans, and really start to feel like he belonged in the big leagues and with the team that he really loves. I think that comfort of being here now and being in year 2 and having a platform to kind of rise up off of, I think that's going to help him a lot. I mean, he's got a high ceiling. Who knows what that is and how far he can go, but just that comfort and that feeling of being embraced and feeling like you've got kind of a home here now and you can really get to work on your craft. I think it's going to be really cool for him.
I agree. And Estrada is just a player I think that you can take a look at and feel at least more comfortable, understanding that any reliever you look at, when you look at their year-to-year performance, you need to be the most skeptical of that class of player. When you see a reliever have a great year, it's just as likely that they'll take a step back the next year as it is that they'll take a step forward. But when all the numbers line up behind you, it makes you feel more sustainable. And that's where it is for Jeremiah Estrada. And by the way, I just want to bring it up because we've got some time, and I see it in the chat all the time. I'm not trying to throw cold water on our favorite Costco chicken selector, Brian Hoeing.
I hope he might just hate Costco, too.
It'd be hilarious if
Definitely
like, I'd
hates
never
us
been.
at this point.
Never
He
been.
definitely hates me.
Yeah, never been. Never been. No, don't know what you're talking about. I only order from DoorDash. That'll be what Hoeing
It's
said.
like I've never been to Costco in
Big
my
Sam's
life.
Club,
It'd
yeah.
be
It's
hilarious.
like I don't even eat chicken.
Yeah,
that's right.
I only I used to live in Texas. It was only HEB for me. No,
That's right,
no
HEB.
Costco. But here's the thing about, because I just said that, what I said about Estrada, I would like to note, Brian Hoeing did not have that year where all the numbers lined up behind his bubblegum card stats and all of the metrics suggested that what he did was real, repeatable, and set for another step forward. For example, here on Fangraphs, looking at Brian Hoeing, Brian Hoeing's ERA last year for both teams combined, Miami and San Diego, was 2.18. Spectacular. His expected ERA was 5.07. 5.07. So what they're saying is he got quite lucky. And part of how he got quite lucky was he had a way over major league average 82% left on base rate. So when he had runners on, he managed to find an out way more often than normally happens in the league in 2024. Those are the kind of things that usually fluctuate unless you have elite strikeout stuff like Blake Snell, where he can kind of count on a high left on base rate. A guy like Hoeing does not. And so when you look at the projections, Steamer, et cetera, for Brian Hoeing in 2025, they're almost uniformly picking him to pitch to a ERA in the 4s. And be a very low leverage reliever for San Diego.
Yeah, he wasn't getting a lot of high leverage stuff with the was it the Marlins he was with?
Yeah,
he wasn't getting a lot of high leverage. In fact, he was really appreciative of the chance with the Padres to get some high leverage opportunities. So hopefully he's another one that, again, over the offseason, you get a plan from Ruben, you kind of get a feel for what they're looking for, and go into spring training. You have the full spring training with the pitching staff, but I guess I would be a little surprised if they move him into the rotation too. Yeah. It's not out of the question, but we'll see. I don't know. He was a multi-inning guy, but he wouldn't pitch for a little while. After he would do multi-innings, then he would take a while to go back and pitch again. So maybe also that's a matter of working, you'd have to work your arm up and all that good stuff.
Yeah, 53 total innings last year. And his strikeout rate for his career is 6.7 per 9 innings. So just when you look at a Michael King, or you look at a Morahone, and you look at their stuff, you say, okay, that stuff, that translates to being on the starting pitching mound because you've got the 3 or 4 plus pitches. You've got the different ways that you can get out right-handed and left-handed batters. For Brian Hoeing, it's the fastball, it's the sinker, it's the change, it's the curve, but he doesn't have that out pitch. He doesn't have that hammer that you can build upon to create a starting pitcher's dossier. So I think that's one that personally I'm putting at the back of the list in terms of conversion candidates. I think what Hoeing is depth. He's depth for your team.
What you need.
Absolutely. The more depth you have at pitching, the better. And he's a good one. And I think Padres bullpen, they're set up to, we haven't ever talked about Yuki Matsui. That's another guy that could take a step forward in 2025.
Yuki Matsui, and this is shout out to the Padres Reddit, where someone translated an article that he did with a Japanese, right?
Newspaper.
Yeah, right.
He's Japanese.
Newspaper.
Yeah, he's Japanese.
Japanese newspaper. And it was like really sincerely, as assuming the translation is correct. So I'm going to assume that right now. But just talking about how much he learned and how much he respects Yu Darvish, how it was huge for him to learn behind Yu Darvish, how when they got the good relievers at the deadline, quote, Jason Adam and Tanner Scott joined the Padres midseason via trades, and they both pitched over 70 games this year. Spending time with them, I realized they're top-tier relievers in every aspect. Physical ability, technique, and mental strength. Honestly, there's a gap between us. So we looked at their training regimens, kind of saw how they handle themselves and what they do, which is like exactly what you would want a player who is adjusting to life in the United States to do. But yeah, he had a lot of good words about Yu Darvish, and then a lot of words about kind of how he said it felt like a switch flipped. We became a lot more focused when we were pushing for the division title late in the season. He said getting used to the high strike zone, or getting used to the fastballs was tough. The high strike zone in the MLB is wider than in Japan, so it was a new area for me to target. Staying healthy. So this is a guy who, again, cannot hold it against him one bit. Like he... coming from Japan and having to make the adjustment to big league hitters in the United States is an adjustment, not to mention the food, the culture, the environment, everything that goes with it that does matter when you're making that kind of adjustment. So I think for him too, I think that he's going to come into his second season feeling a lot better about what he needs to work on.
Yeah. And if you go even below that, right, you've got Sean Reynolds. That's a kid who looked really impressive last year for periods of time, short periods of time, but he's got the build, right? 6'8", fastball in the high 90s, crazy slider that people were swinging and missing at by a foot last year. That's someone you could dream on as not just depth, but someone who could slide into a fifth or sixth inning impact relief scenario for San Diego. Kulik is a player that the Padres deliberately nursed through a Rule 5 season last year. He's got the build, the frame. Like, I would put him ahead of Hoeing in terms of a potential conversion candidate.
And in his words, it was a lot to go from a team that, like, where he was not a part of any contention to now being dropped into a team that had playoff aspirations and hopes. And he was a Rule 5 guy. And it was a big kind of shift for him. So again, second year, hopefully you've got a lot better of a foundation that you're standing on.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I've always thought, amongst other potential moves, that a Suarez trade could make sense for San Diego. You don't want to lose Bobby fastballs, but not only is he another guy who the numbers didn't love beyond his actual on-field performance, but he's entering a walk year. He's got an opt-out in his contract where if he has any kind of good season, he's gone. So the idea that, well, you could move him, but you've got Adam who could slide up, Estrada who could slide up, Morahone who could make a move up, and then you've got Reynolds, you've got Matsui. You've got some guys down in that bullpen
that are going to need to take a jump.
Right.
I mean, they're guys that exactly have a lot of potential. We're excited to see what they have, but they need to take a step up in those respects.
And they've got they're at the stages in their career where you would expect it. Oh, by the way, Wandy Peralta's still here too. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with him, but he's a veteran left-hander. He's out there, he's going to be on the team the next 3 years. So the point is, there's a lot of bullpen arms
there are.
Down there. There's actually a great deal of depth.
Jason Adam.
Right. I mean, Adam could be your closer.
Yeah.
He could be anyone's closer. He had the best stuff of the entire bullpen last year. All right. I enjoyed that. We'll think of more happy things to talk about Saturday, too. When we come back, the 12 o'clock Sports Fix. A new gambling scandal in the NBA involving prop bets. I've got that story. Andy's got the baseball. Braden's got the football. It's all up next on 97.3 The Fan. 12 o'clock on a Thursday. Happy lunch hour, everybody. Back with you on your home for Padres baseball. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's the Annie and Elsten Show, hour number 3 of our Thursday get-together. This is the point in the program where we allow you the thought of, opening up that lunch, chilling, putting something in the microwave, whatever you got to do to get your stuff heated up. And we're going to heat up your brain with all the sports news you need from the night that was and the day that will be. We begin with Annie and baseball.
Heat up our brains.
Okay, let's heat up my brain first.
Uh-oh.
Whoa. Okay, right-handed closer Carlos Estevez signed a 2-year contract that includes a club option with the Kansas City Royals. Estevez is coming off a 2-year, $13.5 million contract he signed with the Angels in December 2022. He established himself as an all-star closer in Anaheim before being traded to Philadelphia at the deadline last July. The Cincinnati Reds are finalizing a trade to acquire left-handed reliever Taylor Rogers from the San Francisco Giants. Old friend Rogers, who is 34, is owed $12 million this season and adds a late-inning arm to Cincinnati's bullpen. He and his twin brother Tyler will no longer be on the same team, but it is very cool that they got to spend a few years on the same team, in the same bullpen.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It is cool.
Lovely.
And yesterday, fan favorite and infielder Ha-Seong Kim and the Tampa Bay Rays agreed on a 2-year, $29 million contract that includes an opt-out after the first season. Kim is coming off shoulder surgery, but is expected to return in May and slated to take over at shortstop. So I would think that would you think that this kind of puts Xander Bogaerts at shortstop?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would think so too.
Yeah, until DeVries turns up, Bogaerts is the shortstop.
I would think so too. And that's all I have in Major League Baseball.
All good. Here's Braden.
That's it for Annie. Wow.
That's all.
That's a 1.5 minute report, I think. Maybe a minute.
And I had to throw Kim in there just to make it a little longer.
Right,
you know?
that's right.
Because it happened after Sports Fix yesterday. I deemed it the 24-hour rule.
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair too. 100%.
Especially when we have nothing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can even have like a 30-hour rule. And I don't think anyone would really blame you.
Do some trades from Monday or some signings from Monday.
In case you missed it, it's new for you. All right, go ahead.
Football bettors in Nevada beat the sports books out of a net $2.1 million in December, the first monthly loss during the NFL regular season for the state's bookmakers in 12 years. It's only the 13th losing month on football bets during the regular season in the state's history, and the largest net loss on football since November of 2012, when the sportsbooks lost $5.3 million on bets on the NFL and college football, according to the Nevada Gaming Control. Favorites, always popular with the betting public, won 76% of games outright in December, highest winning percentage for the month since 2005, and fourth highest in the Super Bowl era. The chalk covered the spread in 59% of games during that month, fifth best mark in the Super Bowl era. Overall, in December, Nevada sportsbooks won a net $15 million, almost all of it coming on bets on basketball. So sportsbooks made a ton of money on basketball. They lost money in December on football. Maybe the tide has turned. Who knows? I doubt it. The house always wins.
The house always wins.
But
Always.
football bettors post a rare win versus Nevada sportsbooks in the month of December.
Good for us.
Yeah. Round of applause. You know what?
Way to go.
That's the people leaving Vegas happy.
It's got to be celebrated when it happens, because we could also do this report every week. Vegas won this week. All the bettors hate their hats this week, and that's every week, but not last month. All right.
New York Jets coach Aaron Glenn has made the first significant hire for his new coaching staff, agreeing to terms with Steve Wilks to become the DC. League sources told ESPN's Jeremy Fowler on Wednesday. Wilks, who's 55, was out of the NFL for the 2024 season after serving for one campaign as the Niners defensive coordinator. He was fired in February of 2024, a few days after the Niners lost to Kansas City in Super Bowl 58. This is a key addition for Glenn, who said Monday at his introductory news conference he wasn't planning to call the defensive plays, so Aaron Glenn will just be the head figure as he has now found a DC. College football. Man, does this always get fun. Wisconsin cornerback Niger Forquirin sued the NCAA on Wednesday, alleging his 5-year eligibility clock shouldn't have been running during his 2 seasons at Division II Grand Valley State. for Curran also states in the lawsuit that the NCAA is denying him an opportunity to profit from his name, image, and likeness by failing to award him additional eligibility with Wisconsin. The NCAA denied his request for a waiver for additional eligibility Wednesday. His attorneys told the court in the complaint filed in the U.S. District Court in Madison, Wisconsin, in the lawsuit, for Curran's attorneys asked the court to grant a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction that would prevent the NCAA from enforcing its bylaws pertaining to its 5-year rule of eligibility, 3-year eligibility limits for transfers, and a rule that for Curran's first season at Grand Valley State to be considered a missed opportunity under NCAA rules because of the death of his father in 2021. His attorneys asked the judge for the injunctive relief from the court because he has until February 7th to declare for the NFL draft. So we have already had one player sue the NCAA to say that junior college shouldn't count towards eligibility, and now a former D2 player is saying that playing D2 should not count either. Where are we going to draw the line of the eligibility cycle here? I mean,
the line knows no bounds now.
I guess a court will draw that line.
At this point in time, why even have eligibility for
anybody can play for as long as they want.
Just play as long as you want. Yeah. Play as long as you want.
Every year that you get paid counts.
Yeah.
Every other year, nope.
If you don't get paid, it doesn't count. You should only get the 4 or 5 years of NIL years. NIL years only, maybe at this point. So we'll see how that works out.
Has LeBron maintained his college eligibility, seeing as he never went? I mean,
he just can't play basketball.
Okay.
He could play any other sport, though, theoretically, yeah. Since he never went to college. He could go back and play football if he wanted to.
Go join the swim team.
Yeah, theoretically, yeah. He could totally do that if he wanted to.
That'd be wild.
ESPN has agreed to pick up its option to continue broadcasting ACC sports through 2036, the network and conference announced Thursday. The agreement is a critical step towards securing stability for the conference. With the television deal settled, the ACC is now working toward a settlement with Clemson and Florida State that could end those schools' ongoing lawsuits against the conference. ESPN had until February 1st to pick up the option on a 20-year contract signed in 2016 that helped launch the ACC network. Had ESPN declined, the partnership would have ended after the 2027 season, so they had the option to continue their contract. Contract was supposed to be till 2036. ESPN will take that contract probably because it's probably a sweet deal instead of renegotiating with a lot of these conferences. So the ACC and ESPN will be locked in through 2036. How this affects the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, trying to find TV contracts, we will see. But we haven't really had too much on that. It's been a lot of nothing.
Crickets.
On the contracts, these lucrative TV deals that they said they're going to get. But who knows? We'll wait and find out. But that's it for...
They're on the way, Braden.
They're coming. Yeah, they're coming. That's it for NFL and college athletics. Here's Craig.
Did you see the Justin Tucker story?
It's not on ESPN, so I haven't gone with it yet. But yes, I have seen it.
It is on Yahoo.
It's on Yahoo.
It's on Yahoo.
Yes.
Well, he's been accused of sexual misconduct by 6 massage therapists.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Yes, that came down today.
Yeah. And it's a nasty story, and you can go look it up, but it's Deshaun Watson, but a kicker instead.
Yikes.
And it's old in terms of decade-plus old behavior that's reportedly being examined, 2012 to 2016. Nonetheless, that's a thing that's happening out there, and if you want to read more about it, go for it, gang.
Yeah.
Okay, on to my report. We'll start with the local teams. San Diego Gulls hosted the Toronto Marlies last night at Pechanga Arena. They lost 5-3, 0-3 against the Marlies so far this year. One more shot at them, though, Friday night at Pechanga Arena at 7 o'clock. Tonight at Viejas Arena, San Diego Mojo back in action, looking to build on their 2-match winning streak. They host Atlanta Vibe, the defending champs of the league. 7 p.m. first service. Of note, the Mojo are donating a portion of tonight's ticket proceeds to LA wildfire relief.
That is very good. They need it. I've been seeing a lot of organizations doing that or putting forth money, individuals, and man, I mean, that's going to go far. hopefully.
Yes. So check it out. Buy the tickets through the Mojo to make sure that the money is going to wildlife relief, and hope to see you out there.
And good on the Mojo for doing that, because just because we're San Diego, I really think like it's incumbent upon us, if possible, to help out those in LA, which very well could be us at any point.
100%. And then we'd hope that LA would come help us out.
Exactly.
And you know what happened in Northern California a couple years ago, and we helped out up there too. So
I would love to see more organizations doing that.
100%.
Personally.
All of us in California need to stick together. We're all in fire season 12 months a year together. We all need to stick together and support one another all the way through. Love it. Okay. We've got a new prop betting scandal in the NBA. We all remember Jonte Porter, who was banned for life for messing around, working with an organized gambling group and managing to spike his unders on prop plays. Well, the same gambling group is in the crosshairs with a different NBA player, and that is Terry Rozier, who was a Charlotte Hornet back in 2023. He is a Miami Heat right now. However, and this is a Wall Street Journal story that came out earlier this morning, investigators are looking into irregular bets that were flagged from the exact same group that was betting on Jonte Porter.
What are you doing?
Yes. Betting Terry
Like,
Rozier.
no one's going to notice.
Right. Betting Terry Rozier prop unders for a March 23rd, 2023 game with the Hornets. In that game, Rozier started, played the first 9.5 minutes, checked out in a timeout, and never came back with what was described as a foot injury. There is now an investigation taking place from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York related to this matter. People have now gone through the tape of the game in question and said that, yeah, it looks a little fishy because Rozier looks completely all right in his 9.5 minutes on the court. There's no discomfort. There's no injury moment.
Yeah.
There's nothing that happens where he limps or hobbles or anything. And it was called discomfort. So was he part of a gambling ring
Dun, dun, dun.
manipulating unders on what probably at the time seemed like something that you might be able to get away with so many unders, so many props? Trust me when I tell you, someone's doing this probably in college basketball every day.
Why wouldn't you if you're not going to get caught?
Every day.
Yeah.
It's probably happening every day. The difference is this was involving sophisticated enough gamblers that were already on the radar of these groups that are in charge of this.
Kind of a misstep on their part, if you ask me.
They're red flags. Well, maybe in 2023 they thought they could get away with it. However, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Terry Rozier is the newest one in the barrel. Got a highlight I just dropped in, Braden, and I think we want to play it. Let's go to Pebble Beach for the first signature event of the 2025 PGA Tour season, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. That means the top players in the world are out there, including Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy at Pebble Beach. This happened earlier this morning.
Control here. Playing downhill 7, so it's 112 yards, and this looks pretty good. Oh, he flew it in. Oh, hello.
Wow.
Wait, did he land it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It went
my
right into the
gosh.
cup.
Cow. Drinks on McIlroy tonight.
Here's another look from behind the green, downhill, just a little chip down there, 112 yards adjusted.
Bang.
Just jars it.
That is, he should
Corner
definitely
three.
be buying drinks later. That is,
Very few
pretty sweet.
times in your life do you slam dunk.
you know how
Unbelievable.
the golfers always have like pretty stoic emotions?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't,
No.
Rory was smiling and pointing, and how could you not?
He
Favor him.
jarred it on
Yeah.
the fly.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Like, if that misses by a quarter of an inch, he's off the green
Yes.
the other side. That's wild. Here's what's going on the leaderboard right now. Scores are pretty low. We have a 5-way tie at 5 under. Jake Knapp, Colin Morikawa, Cam Davis, Austin Eckroat, and Eric Van Rooyen. At 4 under, we have a septet of golfers, including Justin Rose, Matthew Pavon, Akshay Bhatia, Justin Thomas, Lee Hodges, Russell Henley, Sam Stevens, Maverick McNeely, Tom Hoge, Rory McIlroy, and 24 other golfers are at 3 under par. Some famous names in there, including Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Sahith Theegala, Shane Lowry, Tony Finau, Sepp Straka, Ricky Fowler. They are all at 3 under par. Scores are low right now, and that's what's going on in round 1, halfway through at Pebble. Quickly to the NBA scoreboard tonight, 5 games on the scoreboard. Best game, Houston at Memphis. That's a 32 win versus a 31 win team. Most lopsided anticipated game is LA at Washington. The Wizards are a sterling 6-40 now on the season, but they are trying to lose. They're trying to sag for flag and get Cooper Flag on their team next year. Yesterday, Clippers rode past the San Antonio Spurs 128-116, and Golden State beat Oklahoma City 116-109 despite 52 points from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We'll wrap things up with a quick scan of the NHL scoreboard. Tonight, the LA Kings are skating at Tampa Bay, while the Anaheim Ducks will be at the Calgary Flames. Yesterday, Kings got shut out at Florida 3-0. Pittsburgh beat that team from Arizona once that now plays in Salt Lake City and will have a new name maybe next year, but maybe the same name.
He draws the foul.
3-2 in overtime. And there it is, your 12 o'clock sports fix for Thursday, January 30th, 2025. Thank you all for being here.
So upset about the Yeti.
What can you do?
My favorite part of the sports fix today was the Rory McIlroy.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Jarred it.
Yeah.
We got his group up now. Featured
Stroke.
group.
Solid.
Maybe he'll do it again.
Well, he just drained a putt.
Nice. Good for him.
He at least put the putt in. Rory is 3 under through 12 at Pebble Beach. And guess what they're about to... I thought they were about to replay his hole-in-one.
I'm sure you'll see that 1,000 times.
It's going to come up again.
It's really impressive. I mean, come on.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
insane.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'd walk off the course if I ever did that. I'd be like, I'm done. I don't need to play this sport anymore.
There should be like an extra bonus for that or something.
Like a 0 instead of a 1. I mean, the bonus is he gets a 1.
It should be negative.
Like, you just like you win like an extra prize or something.
Yeah.
Like you get like an extra purse.
Well,
if you
there are some,
An
like,
extra purse.
in fact, I believe, I could be wrong about this. I
get
could be
free
wrong.
lunch.
Yeah, but I
'Cause
believe
they
the
need free lunch.
Genesis
Okay.
has a hole, or they had a hole in L.A., where if you canned it, you got a car.
There, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's
right.
like they have
Something
that
like
in golf
that.
tournaments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's several tournaments that are like that. Oh, if you
I mean, it's a little
yeah.
kitschy,
Yeah.
but
You get a brand new
makes it a little
car.
fun.
Yeah. He wasn't supposed to jar it there.
No,
so they didn't
well.
have a car ready to go.
Sometimes things just work out.
When we come back, things are going to work out with Tom Krasovic. We're going to have him on the line. Chatting, columnist from San Diego Union Tribune, had an interesting story this morning on how people are comparing the parity in baseball to parity in the NFL, and maybe they're not quite going far enough or looking at it deeply enough. Tom has looked at it more deeply. We'll chat with him after this time out on The Fan. Great news for California sports fans. Underdog is available to play right here in the Golden State. It's the best app for your big game party right there on your phone. Underdog, the best place to cash in on all your takes during the big game. Why go anywhere but your phone and the Underdog app to play pick'em during the big game? What is it, Mahomes, Allen, Barkley? Who do you think is going to go off? Who do you think is going to be ice cold in the big game? You line up your entry, pick higher or lower on particular stats, and take advantage of the great promotions that are in there on the Underdog app every single day. I've been playing since the Christmas break. Love to take a look at NBA plays during the course of the week. Football on the weekends, the golf league, PGA Tour, it's all available for you. Underdog is the best place to play pick'em. All you have to do is download the app, sign up, and use promo code Craig, my name, C-R-A-I-G, deposit, and you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code Craig. Must be 18 plus, present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Did you miss Inside San Diego Baseball with Sam Levitt yesterday? Well, you can catch it on YouTube. You can catch it as a podcast. Or, don't forget, set a note for next Wednesday's show. Every Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. right here on 97.3 The Fan and our YouTube page, Sam's Talking All Things Padres Baseball, keeping you up to date on the latest hot stove rumors, so check it out. Inside San Diego Baseball with Sam Levitt. Now, I presume it'll continue through spring training. I do not know.
I don't know. We will find out.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be a busy beaver
yes.
out there. But also he might want his own 2 hours to stretch out and that could be just a killer show to listen to during spring training. If he's got like 6 or 7 interviews he's done lined up, that could be the show of the week, honestly. So check it out, Inside San Diego Baseball.
Phone call. Thanks for your help. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay. All right. Sounds like Kraz is wrapping something
Krasy.
up. We're going to chat with Tom Krasovic here momentarily on the 97.3 The Fan hotline, columnist from the San Diego Union Tribune. Kraz joining us here on Annie and Elsten. What's up, man? How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Doing real well. Appreciate you responding this morning. I saw what you wrote up in the San Diego Union Tribune today, and I said, you know what? This is a perfect day to have our man, Tom Krasovic, back on the show. The column, which was in this morning's paper, had the headline, which I'm sure you didn't write, Parity, baseball continues to reward biggest markets. And what I thought was really interesting, Kraz, was how you took a look at kind of one of the biggest old saws that keeps getting wheeled out this winter, which is comparing MLB's World Series champions to the National Football League or NBA, trying to say, hey, baseball has no problem at all with parity. Just take a look at the teams in the postseason and the teams that win the title.
Right. The factual argument is basically, hey, no one team is dominating our postseason, that no one wins it twice in a row, that the team with the biggest payroll usually doesn't even win the World Series. So look at our parity. And that's all true, but they're really on a vulnerable position when they compare to the NFL, because in the NFL, as we all know, all of the markets have an equal opportunity to thrive. And it's to the point where no one even thinks about it in the NFL, what market you're from. I mean, we have a team now from a small market. It's preparing for its 5th Super Bowl in 6 years and already has won 3 of the 5. So I would just commend to your imagination the Royals going to 5 World Series in 6 years and winning at least 3. I don't think anyone who took hallucinogens could imagine.
Yeah, Kraz, you're absolutely right. You make the point that Kansas City might be making multiple appearances and whatnot in the Super Bowl and multiple championships, but they're a small market. They have a chance just like every other market in the NFL, whereas in MLB, that's not always the case. Do you think MLB should take some of the methods that are employed in either the NBA or the NFL and put them into Major League Baseball? Or how would you kind of solve this problem if you were commissioner of baseball?
I don't think it's solvable because the things the NFL did happened so long ago and are so extraordinary that you'd almost have to go back in time, because there's no way the big markets are going to do what the NFL big markets did decades ago and say, you know what, we're not going to assert our market advantage. We're going to just buy into what you're selling. We're going to form a collective, and Green Bay is going to get the same amount of revenue as New York and Chicago, and we're going to centralize this and auction it off that way. I just can't see an MLB going down that road at this stage. The Dodgers would laugh. I think their TV deal's worth, what, $8 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah, 300 and whatever, 50 million a year or whatever, something like that. Yeah.
So the solution they've come up with is clever and smart and has value to it, has merit to it. Let's expand the postseason, and that'll improve the chances of the San Diegos and the Baltimores and the Kansas Cities to get in. And that's true. But gosh, that World Series gets harder to win within the postseason, because you have to win pretty much you have to win 13 postseason games if you're in the Padres situation, because the Dodgers have this death grip on the divisional title, which usually results in a first round bye.
Yeah.
We're talking with Tom Krasovic from the San Diego Union Tribune. You know, I've seen a lot of national baseball writers make a number of different arguments against altering baseball's current economic landscape. And one of them is the one that you skewered, I think, quite effectively today, which was like, hey, look at the NFL. The NFL doesn't have parity. The NFL has dynasty teams. The proper response, which you made, is, yeah, look where the dynasty team is. It's not Dallas. It's not the New York Giants. It's Kansas City. And that just wouldn't happen if you took the situations and purely reversed them. One thing that I've also seen, Tom, and my friend Joe Sheehan, the national baseball writer, put out a whole thing earlier this week, once again ripping the idea of going toward a cap and floor type situation in MLB. And he loves to bring this point up, which is that by money, Major League Baseball teams actually revenue share more. More money is shared by big market teams to small market teams in baseball than it is in the NFL. But what you elide when you just say that is that there's so much more money to be shared because the local television situation is so disparate across 30 markets, whereas the NFL is a completely different thing. Their media money is tied into national deals. The only local deals that exist at all are either radio or preseason football for a couple, 3 games. Everything is national. So to me, I just don't think the comparison is equitable because the NFL system is so completely different from what baseball offers.
Totally agree. And I'm not saying NFL is devoid of friction among their various ownerships. Jerry Jones gets a little aggravated, you can tell, with some of the other franchises' ability to produce revenues through the stadium experience and marketing and things like that, ticket sales, corporate sales, which is an interesting argument and would be one we could discuss quite a bit. But I agree. I don't think it's necessarily the greatest comparison between the two leagues.
Kraz, you've covered quite a lot of organizational changes over your time as a reporter. As you watch what the Padres have been doing this offseason with the ownership battle, but also not many moves being made. I mean, I know you wrote a column about possibly reuniting the Padres with Ha-Seong Kim, and you laid out a great argument for it. Ultimately, he goes to Tampa. Tampa, right? Yes. Are you surprised at kind of the lack of moves this offseason? Is it concerning to you, or is there still time in your mind?
This is bargain season, and Preller's proved that. So from that point of view, I think they can still come away with some nice bargains. And I'm still astounded at how much success they've had in that area the last 2 years and the incredible financial jumps these guys that were already free agents generated coming to San Diego on a short term. I think just real fast, Waka, Lugo, Profar, Kyle the catcher, whose last name I mangle, and Solano. That's just 5 off the top of my head.
Yeah.
They went from like $7 million to 40, $7 million to 50, $1 million to 42 million or so. 650,000 prorated on a league minimum to $3.5 million at age 37. Donovan Solano this month from Seattle, and just incredible. Kyle went from about 2.2 million to 13 million at age 35, catcher. So that's a pretty good trend. They get a couple more of those this year, pending. It's not. Am I predicting that? No, but realistically, it could happen.
Kraz, always appreciate having you on, man. We are heading toward our game show here coming up in a couple of minutes. But let me just ask you this question. It's the same one we asked all of ourselves in the studio a little bit earlier. I'm taking Jackson Merrill off the board because he's the most obvious answer, the easy number one. Beyond that, somebody on the Padres roster, 2025, below the star class, that you are looking forward to seeing grow, someone that you think has an upside coming into 2025 that people aren't chatting through?
I'd always start with pitching because that seems to be probably the Padres' best niche. Maybe the knuckleballer gets a little bit more confident and consistent. He wasn't that bad last year.
I agree.
Yeah.
Waldron. So let's throw him out there. Maybe, I think he was worth his salary last year, right? For sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Probably a good value. So let's increase that by about 10%.
I love it.
Add 10% to his value. He got nice, and that'll be pretty nice, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. 10% better Matt Waldron. That's probably a close to 2-WAR pitcher for the San Diego Padres, and that would be just fine sitting there in your 4 spot in the rotation. Hey, Tom, we'll chat again real soon down the road. Always love when we get the chance to have you on for a few minutes.
Great. Have a good day.
Thanks, Kraz.
The great Tom Krasovic. Really appreciate him. And yeah, I read that this morning. I'm like, thank you. Let's put a little context into these things.
Yeah.
His point was, if you really look at small market teams by media market, and then you even expand it out to the bottom 10, and then you could do the same thing for the NFL, you get double the championships, double the Super Bowl appearances in NFL than you do in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, exactly. It's just every small market team has a chance in the NFL, and you're one Jaden Daniels away, or one Patrick Mahomes away from completely revamping your franchise if you're able to put some good pieces around and build a good team. So I think that that's the biggest thing, right? Like in MLB, you just don't have that for the smaller markets. That money difference is pretty substantial and plays a big part in how you can build your roster.
Here's another way to look at it, and we'll go to break. In the NFL, did Jacksonville have a problem paying for Trevor Lawrence? Did Green Bay have a problem paying for Jordan Love? Was it a matter of, hey, you know what? We like you, Trevor Lawrence. You're the number 1 pick, but we really can't afford to pay you beyond your rookie contract. So we really have to trade you after the 3rd year. No, that's not the case anywhere in the NFL. The question is, do you make the right decision committing to your quarterback to his big money contract? Or is it the right decision to move on? It's not the decision was made for you because Patrick Mahomes must play in Dallas. So because they're going to pay him 4 times as much as Kansas City can afford. No, it's not that at all. It becomes, did you make the right football decision along the way? And then when the Patriots make great football decisions and they go to 8 straight championship games, or the Chiefs make great football decisions and they go to 7 straight championship games, that's a sign of organizational virtue, right? As opposed to, oh, well, we had $2 billion more than everyone else, and we actually just spent the money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are organizational differences, of course. Like some teams are just better run and have better GMs or smarter owners or, whatever. But in terms of like a level playing field, any team in the NFL can do it. Any team in the NFL has a chance. And in MLB, yes, technically any team has a chance, and we saw that with the Royals, and we saw that with the Diamondbacks making it to the World Series. Any team has a chance, but if you look at the numbers, it's teams that are in, I believe, the top 10. I want to say maybe top 15, but top 10 that are consistently going in payroll, that are consistently in the World Series or winning the World Series every year.
Let's take our time out. It's time to play Silly Games, and today's silly game on this Thursday is Fast Money. It's the bonus round from the very popular Family Feud game show, so we're looking for one contestant to take on either Annie or myself, looking for the most popular answer as it was put to a previous Annie and Elsten studio audience. All we need to do is have you give us a call. The lines are open now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Give us a call during the break. We'll screen a contestant. We'll play Fast Money next on The Fan. The Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to 97.3 The Fan for at least an hour to earn your daily entry into this national contest. The grand prize, travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premier sports viewing destination, where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim, plus $20,000 in cash. All you got to do is be listening on the Odyssey app, and if you haven't, turn it on the Odyssey app. You're obviously listening to the show. You might as well just throw that through the app.
You're already here.
Doesn't hurt you. And then you'll get those daily entries. Oh, where's my... Hi. Back with you. So do that. I've actually got 3 things I'm supposed to read in this segment, including a reminder. At 1 o'clock, we are announcing today's biggest fan. For a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game, register your name, 973thefansd.com/biggest-fan, in order to potentially have your name called down the road. But we will announce a name at the top of our next segment. Yes. So stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, we've also got our silly game to play, which we play every day. And it's got its own grand prize, which is a trip to Las Vegas to see Scorpions on March 6th, 2-night stay at Planet Hollywood, and a $100 gas card. Only 2 games left before we get to the drawing. Let's play Fast Money. Here we go. The bonus round from the very popular Family Feud game show. It's Fast Money. We've had folks calling in trying to be a contestant, and today, Derek in La Mesa is our contestant. Hi, Derek. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, guys?
Good to have you back, Derek. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself before we play.
Aztec for life, and much to the chagrin of Mr. Suprenit, resident Oregon Duck fan.
Hey.
What's the O stand for? 0 national championships? What?
Wow. That's not hospitable, Braden.
Never heard that one before.
I know.
Jeez.
Poor guy.
Wow.
He's just scared of the inflatable duck, the big duck that's out in the
big duck.
Middle of the ocean.
At least Puddles, a.k.a. the Duck, is better than Donald Duck.
Yeah, Dodger Duck we hate.
Yeah, exactly.
Puddles is cool.
Hey, by the way, Braden,
now.
his name has never been Puddles. He is the Duck.
It's not Puddles?
I think it's Puddles.
Negative.
I don't think the Oregon fans like that name.
Well, it appears that is the case based on our one-person survey right here. Let's get to the game, Derek. It's Fast Money today. Here's how it's going to work. Very simple. Starts with a decision by you. You're either going to play myself or you're going to play Annie. Whichever host you choose is going to walk out that door and close it behind him. Then our resident Richard Dawson over here, Mr. Duck fan Braden Suprenit, spitting blood out of his eyes with ant venom inside it. He will give you 5 questions that he's polled a recent studio audience. You're going to be looking for the most popular answer. Once you're done, the host comes back in, not knowing your answers, but being unable to use or repeat them. That's the advantage given to you. That person will take the same survey, then we'll compare the scores, and if you win or tie, you are in the hopper for the Scorpions drawing. Does it all make sense, Derek?
Yes, indeed.
Who would you like to play today, Craig or Annie?
Well, seeing as how I think I still hold the record by scoring 171 against Craig and losing, I think I'll give Annie a shot today.
Sounds good.
How did that even happen? I mean, that seems impossible. But
I don't know. But now we have Oregon State fans chirping in the chat. Derek.
Oh, boy.
We can't let that happen.
Oh, boy. All right, so do it for your alma mater. Derek, I'll be rooting for you and keeping score as we turn things over to Braden.
All right, Derek, 1 minute on the clock. If these questions stump you and you want to go back, you can say pass. We get back to it if we have more time. The 1 minute will start after I ask you this question, or really statement, if you will. Name something people have several of each day.
Pass.
Tell me a reason that a child might not mind getting up early in the morning.
Their birthday or, no, Christmas.
Great
Christmas
answer.
is a good
Great
answer.
answer.
Name a subject some people consider personal.
Pass. Jeez.
Name something people do to make their house smell better.
Flowers.
Flowers.
Okay.
Name a romantic place you can take a date for free.
The beach.
Love it.
Beach.
Back to number
Name
one.
something people have several of each day.
Jeez. Talks, communication.
Okay, chats. And number three.
Name a subject some people consider, quote, personal.
Family matters.
Yeah.
Family matters.
I like that. That's a good answer. All right, Derek, we're going to put you on hold and see how Annie completes the same survey. I think there's a little room on question 1 for Annie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe on question 3. All right, here she is. The mistress of silly games, Annie Heilbrunn, is back. Annie, Derek's questions are recorded. His responses are, and Braden's got 5 questions for you.
Let's go, Derek and me.
Glad you're rooting for yourself.
Yeah.
Good. Name something people have several of each day.
Several of each day. They have several of. They have several drinks of water.
That's
Water.
A good answer.
Okay.
I think that's a good answer.
Next one. Tell me a reason that a child might not mind getting up early in the morning.
Because they get like pancakes and waffles and
Good breakfast.
a good breakfast. Yep.
All right.
Okay. Name a subject some people consider personal.
A subject?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, marriage? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, we could go romance. Can we
Romance?
spread
Okay.
that out to romance? Okay.
Romance.
Romance/love life.
Name something people do to make their house smell better.
Light a candle.
Great answer.
Candle. That's a great answer.
Last but not least.
And the last one. Name a romantic place you can take a date for free.
A beach.
Try again.
Where you could take a date for free. A romantic place where you could take a date for free. Like a garden.
Yeah, a park or garden.
A park.
I was about to hit you with a foul if you said cemetery.
I was thinking about it.
An
But
old shut
I
down
already
amusement
did that.
park in
Right,
North
right,
Indies
right.
County, maybe?
Other creepy
That's
things.
the best.
Other creepy things. All right, let's.
All
get
right,
these
answers are in. Let's get to the survey.
Name
These could
something.
go a lot of different directions.
Name something people have several of each day.
Derek struggled with this one. He came back to it, and he went with chats, like conversations.
Oh, yeah,
a
that's a
number
good
of
one, Derek.
conversations each day.
Very creative.
0 points.
Unfortunately, 0.
Well.
It was mostly food and beverage consumption, in which Andy went with water.
Water.
21 points.
21 points.
Number one answer was cups of coffee.
Oh, interesting.
So, got to move a little bit quicker now. Tell me a reason that a child might not mind getting up early in the morning.
Derek said Christmas morning.
That's a great answer. It's the number one answer, 46 points.
Great
Good job, Derek.
And he said, oh, nice breakfast. Okay.
46 to 21, Derek.
All right.
Name a subject some people consider personal.
Derek said family matters.
I would agree with Derek. Nobody else did.
What?
Wow.
0.
And he
should
said
be on the board.
romance.
Love life. 49. Number one answer.
boy.
Finances, religion, income, weight, health, age, hygiene, education.
How is
70 to
family not on
46.
there?
I don't know. Name something people do to make their house smell better.
Derek said flowers.
Not a bad answer.
Yeah.
4 points.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
And he said light a candle.
18.
Oh, boy.
Name a romantic place you can take a date for free. Derek said
Beach.
27 points. That gives him 77.
Okay, that's not enough. And he said park.
Number one answer, 45 points.
And he wins.
Sorry, Derek.
Derek had some good answers, though.
I think so, too. I think so, too.
Derek needs to call and play another game. Play like anybody knows or something. You know?
Oh, Derek
'Cause-
would be good at anybody.
Yeah,
I think he would be,
this
too.
game is like, just really depends on that studio audience.
He got all the right answers.
He had
Unfortunately,
good answers.
he's smarter than the studio audience.
Yes. Christmas was a great answer, but
Christmas was a great answer.
I just knew that third question there was room because romance had to be the number one answer on that one. People don't want to be asked about their dating life, their love life. As you said, are you married? Are you single? Are you what?
Yeah.
Right? Good stuff all the way around. Derek, better luck next time, brother, but we really appreciate you listening to the show and participating on Fast Money.
He draws the foul.
That's on Rod. Rod in the chat.
Yeah, Rod.
That's a foul.
Easily. Didn't know people in the chat could get fouls.
Although
we've handed out a handful.
Yeah.
Rod's got one.
We've certainly handed out some benchings.
That's right. We've had a lot of technical fouls in the chat. Immediate ejections. Bang. See ya.
We're back with hour number 2, or 4, actually.
Wow.
Hour number 2.
Yeah, don't cut us short,
No,
please.
just one more hour. Next. Okay, it's that time. We're not going to make you wait a second longer. It is time to announce today's 97.3 The Fan biggest fan. This person will have 10 minutes to call the show and get locked in. Are you ready?
Well, I sure am.
Okay.
Nice drum roll.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations to today's biggest fan, Armando Quintero in Chula Vista. What's up, Armando?
Armando.
Que pasa, Armando? Give us a call back within the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, and you will be qualified for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. Remember to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. That's for everyone else.
As Darlene would point out, still no woman.
It's true. It's true.
How many weeks do we have left? 7?
7.
Yeah.
7.
This goes through
7
March
plus 20.
21st.
There's still time.
It's plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
But we're looking for you, Armando Quintero in Chula Vista. Our lonely cry goes out to you. What?
A lot of fouls in the chat today.
A lot of fouls in the chat that I almost read out loud.
No, don't.
And I didn't.
Moe's Tavern.
Yeah.
These are all from like The Simpsons in there. Different names from different places.
Yeah.
Use
They're
your
like names when you're
imagination.
like, hey, go call.
Yeah,
It's like when you're like,
Moe's Tavern. Of The
yeah,
Simpsons.
yeah,
Bart
exactly.
Simpson's calling in.
And you're like 11.
That's right.
And you're prank calling.
IP Freely. That was always my favorite one from The Simpsons.
Looking for
Is there anyone? Is IP Freely here? I want to say it as loud as I can. IP Freely. No, Armando Quintero. Armando called. Yes. Yes.
At least that's what caller ID says.
That is what caller ID says. We believe that we have landed Armando. That means we've only had one miss so far.
Armando has entered the chat.
Armando is in. Well, he's entered the phone line.
Well, the phone.
The chat is right over here. Anthony in the chat again. Everyone, Amanda Hugginkiss. I need Amanda Hugginkiss. Where are you?
I've actually never heard that one.
Yeah, no, that's a famous one. I think that's season 1, Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Amanda Hugginkiss.
Always good.
There's some you can't read.
Some of it in there. Hugh, Jazz.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Ben.
No. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Oh, don't do it. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Okay.
Now, you just incited a riot in the chat.
Pretty much.
By reading some of them, because now they're going to start
No,
throwing
just
more in there.
Keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, we don't need to go to all the various fake baseball reporter accounts.
No. This is for everybody in the chat. Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets a foul.
Some of you have 2 or 3 now. Rod, unfortunately, guilty by association.
A couple of you might get benched here pretty quick.
Yeah.
Padre guy is
about
really,
to get a tee.
yeah. Padre guy's on the. Oh, he's crossed the line.
Padre guy.
Yeah,
is
he's
about
on the
to
other
get,
side.
Padre guy,
And
you're
we
about to
got,
get teed up, man.
Good old
Padre
Stain
guy
McGee.
just got teed.
No. He
No,
can
there he
stay in.
goes. He got the tee.
He got teed. He's not banned. He's just
Okay.
on timeout.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what
on
T said.
timeout. Yeah.
Bang.
T for timeout.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's what's coming up this hour. We've got a grab bag coming up, including Braden's least favorite hockey team. We've got...
Only until they change their name. Once they have a team name, then I don't really care.
Then it'll be good.
Yeah, then they're out of the foul zone.
We will be back on the phone lines with Ask Us Anything to wrap up the show. If you are on the Odyssey app, we invite you to leave us a voice message. Go ahead and press that little button right next to Listen Live, which says leave a voice message. And if you do, between here and 1:45 or so, Braden will line it up and we'll play it on the Ask Us Anything segment. So if you want to contribute verbally to the program, you can do so not just by calling in later, but also by leaving a voice message in the Odyssey app. Feel free to go ahead and do so. Here's what I got, though, for you in this 1 p.m. Segment. Little bit of prospect talk. Earlier this week, Keith Law put out his top 100 prospects for 2025. The pull quote, so to speak, for the Padres is reasonable drop for Ethan Salas. He was third in Law's rankings last year. He dropped to 17th.
Yeah.
But with the caveat that it's still a pretty good spot for an 18-year-old catcher to be. And Leo DeVries debuted at 31 in Keith Law's rankings. Law went on the rest of the week to put out thoughts on the next 100 prospects and to offer team-by-team farm system rankings. Then Kylie McDaniel, formerly of Fangraphs, now ESPN, went ahead and did the same thing. He's another one of these prospect gurus. He put out his top 100. He put out his second 100, and he put out some team-by-team rankings. So, information, then analysis. According to Keith Law, the Padres have the 25th rated farm system in 2025.
Doesn't seem great.
It's not. That's
out of 30.
Out of 30.
Yeah, only 30 teams in Major League Baseball.
He also put the various farm systems in tiers, and we were in tier 6. You never want to be in tier 6.
No, they want to be like
7.
Yeah, it's like when you board a flight.
Yeah.
Or you like board at Disneyland. You're like group 1.
Yeah,
sweet.
group 6. You don't ever want to be in group 6. Well, the Padres are. Here's what Keith Law had to say about the San Diego Padres system. Quote, A.J. Preller traded them all away, sadly. And even after landing 2 of the top international free agents from the last 2 classes, it's a bottom third system. The trades brought the Padres to the playoffs twice in the last 3 years, so there was a purpose to it. But the upshot is now the system is about as bare as it's been in Preller's tenure. If you're looking for reasons of optimism, but beyond their top 2 prospects, they have a collection of high upside arms who will be in low A and the Arizona Complex League to start 2025, one or more of whom could take a big leap with some experience.
So I would be curious when this happened last time and A.J. Preller kind of depleted the system, what was being said then? You know, was this kind of the same things that were being said and then he was able to replenish the system and on we go up and down the roller coaster? But, you know, I mean, it's not great in terms of like farm system development, who's coming up through the system and ready to play right now or ready to play soon, or trade prospects. But again, this is kind of what A.J. Preller does. We've talked about it on the show. He depletes and he replenishes. He depletes and he replenishes.
Yes, he does. And we've seesawed as a result. I remember the Padres farm system being at 23. I remember being at 21. I remember being at 1. I remember being at 5. You know, like it is seesawed back and forth. And right now, as we talked about, you know, I'll keep saying it. We don't use in San Diego under A.J. Preller the Padres farm system the way that many, not all 29 other teams, but many other teams do, which is to identify young talent, groom that talent, develop it through the system, put it into the starting lineup, and count on it as being the bedrock of your future success. That's what many smaller market teams do. They draft, develop, promote, and use the young players. The Padres don't do that. They will only draft, develop, promote, and use the very, very elite best out of their farm system. Everyone else is fodder to be traded. And those players get traded when they get a high enough ranking within these same lists and systems that other teams are interested in plucking those players, cashing the lottery ticket, and seeing if they strike big. But you know what? Most, not all, but almost all of the players that A.J. Preller has drafted since he's come to San Diego, almost all, not all, almost all of them have not made it, have not succeeded at the big league level. And yeah, you've got Cal Quantrill, right? You've got Mac Gore, right? James Wood is up now. C.J. Abrams is up now. Those are guys that were traded for Juan Soto, by the way, one of the best players in the history of baseball. But here's something I really looked at. And I mentioned this to you the other day, Annie. Like, I looked at the top 100 from Keith Law. None of the players the Padres traded to get Jason Adam or Tanner Scott or Luis Ariz or Dylan Cease, none of them appeared in the top 100. So then I looked at Kylie McDaniel's list from ESPN. Well, good news for the Padres on our top 2 guys. They're there. DeVries, Salas, both listed as 60 future value players. Those are players with all-star level. Mm-hmm. They ranked both in the top 22. DeVries was 15th. Salas was 22nd. Bad news. No other Padres listed all the way down till 197th. Left-hander Cash Mayfield, who we drafted last year, showed up at number 197. But Go through Kylie McDaniel's top 200 list. None of them. No Lesko, no Snelling, no Iriarte, no Dylan Head, no Nathan Martorella, right? No Adam Mazier, all these guys who we were told were going to be the future of the Padres, that it was like, oh my God, oh no, we're mortgaging the farm system. The only guy that he has traded since 2020 that is showing up on these lists is Owen Casey, who was part of the Darvish trade, who 4 years later is maybe about to break into the big league lineup for the Cubs, maybe.
Their second best prospect.
Right.
Who's somebody that called into the show said, like, oh, we could trade for him.
Yeah.
With the Dylan Cease trade. No, nothing like trading for a prospect that we already had.
So why do I bring this up? Why do I bring this up? Is it to say that A.J. Preller's terrible at drafting and developing players? No. It's to remind the audience the way he uses his system is so different from the way other teams use their system. I'm truly starting to believe, Annie, that at some level, whether it's intentional or not, the way AJ scouts players, he scouts for tools. He scouts for something that's bright and shiny. And those bright, shiny things, they don't always turn into big league ball players. But the one thing they almost always turn into is prospect rankings. Turns into somebody in a top 60, top 100, top 80, top 20. And then those guys, you bundle them up, and it's that thing of saying trade 5 nickels for a quarter. That's what A.J. Preller does. So the reason I bring it up is not to ding his ability to pick players. It's to suggest that he doesn't necessarily pick players with the same goal as other teams, which is to get those players to the big leagues. He picks players with the goal of making them shiny enough that he can then trade them for things that he really wants.
Yeah, he tries to sell high when there's a lot of, good vibes around them. They're high on the prospect list. The curious thing and what will be fascinating to watch going forward is he did that for most of his tenure with the Padres. A.J. Preller did with a pretty wide open checkbook. A pretty wide open checkbook to go ahead and make signings. Now, last year, not the case. They cut $100 million. He was able to still make some of those deals. Of course, had Juan Soto to trade. So going forward, will you need to depend a little bit more on your farm system to develop and to become some supplemental pieces for you? Or can this method still work, which very well could, for all I know. This method doesn't mean that it's not going to work just because the pocketbook is a little bit tighter now. But that's kind of the thing to watch and see how they do that and going forward. And because for a trade, of course, you have to have two parties. You have to have a willing suitor on the other end that's willing to give you something. So it takes a little bit more of control out of your hands. At the same time, if you can realize maybe that you can get more value back for a guy that you're maybe unsure about as a prospect or that you don't feel super high on, you do it, right? You try to sell high and get as much as you can in return.
And the one guy, or the few players that AJ puts the finger on and says, this guy could be a big leaguer, those guys are the only guys he doesn't move. Mackenzie Gore was one of those guys. He wasn't going to move Mackenzie Gore. It took Soto for him to move Mackenzie Gore. It took Soto for him to move C.J. Abrams, James Wood. Those are players that he identified and said, these are going to be big leaguers. Mm-hmm. And those are the guys that were only utilized for the most expensive trade of the 21st century, the first trade to get Juan Soto. Everyone else, it's percentages for the battery. It's taking that battery up to 88%, 90%. Okay, we can drain the battery. Now we can go get big leaguers controllable. Oh, we're down to 15%. We got to plug the battery back in. We can't use it for the next year, but then we're going to...
So does that make it like every other year?
It does.
Every other year you have a chance more than the middle years?
It does. Look at the pattern. Yeah. We drained it in 2020. 2021 was a down year. We drained it in 2022. 2023 was a down year. We drained it in 2024. We're in 2025. We don't have the minor leaguers to trade. That's it. We don't have that purse to open up and trade.
Hold on for an even year.
Next year, we're going to have I guarantee you next year they're going to be like, the Padres shot up the rankings. They're up to number 11. They've got 5 guys in the top 100. And then those are the guys we trade.
Yeah.
Just period.
Just very quickly, Fernando Tatis Jr. posted an Instagram story where he, Luis Arraez, and Jake Cronenworth and John Jacob Cronenworth are together at Petco Park, walking around. They got the smiles on their faces. They're wearing the bright yellow dry fits. Tatis, of course, has his midriff showing, as he normally does.
Shocking.
But yeah, big vibes happening right now.
Sun's out. Wait, the sun's not out.
Sun's not out, but the midriff guns are out. What, something,
the
huh?
abdominal,
What? The abdominable
Tatis.
guns.
The abdominable baseball player.
Abdominal Tatis.
Everyone's
guys,
happy.
You guys are funny.
So Arraez is in town, at least today.
Yeah, charisma.
Per Fernando Tatis Jr. as the Instagram source.
Are they going to be at...
I didn't see Arraez on the
FanFest?
list. Cronenworth is on the list for FanFest. I didn't see Arraez, but maybe he will be there, just not doing an interview with the media. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the deal is with him.
We talked about earlier, and I'm pushing to 18 here because we moved over to 12. We talked earlier about players that could grow in 2025. One player I think we don't talk about that much is Luis Arraez. Luis Arraez played with a torn ligament in his left thumb for all but a month of his time here in San Diego. I mean, it was like 3-4 weeks into his time in San Diego that he slid into that base in Kansas City and hurt his thumb. And there was a period of time after that he hit like a dumb number for Luis, like 260 or something, right? And he wound up winning the batting title, but he wound up winning it in the 3 teens. That's not Luis Arraez. Luis Arraez is a 350 hitter, not a 315 hitter. He can be a 315 hitter. That's not the valuable version of himself. The valuable version of himself is 350, 370, attacks 400. And that could absolutely happen this year because of all the guys that we talk about being on walk years. The guy we never mentioned is on a walk year is Luis Arraez.
Yeah.
He's on a walk year.
And a healthy Luis Arraez, not having to deal with that thumb. He did so well with it last year in spite of the thumb injury. Had the surgery, second year with the team. I'm so excited to watch him. I really am. He's a tone setter. He's the one that's going to, get the guys on base, get himself on base, hopefully get driven in for some runs. But also just like his craft, like the passion for his craft and the way that permeates through the clubhouse is a fun thing to watch all season long too.
Sure is. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. And, in the 30 seconds left in this segment, here's another guy that if you get an extension before the season started, guaranteed you get baked-in savings for Luis Arraez. Because if he goes out and hits 385 or 390, the number goes up. But he wants to be here. A multi-year deal could lower his average annual value. I don't know if that average annual value goes down if he has a huge year at the plate and wins a 4th straight batting title. Just like Michael King. He has another huge year and strikes out 200. You're paying full market rate for Michael King. But if you signed him before he threw a pitch this year, you'd be baking in the risk of this year. You'd be baking in the risk of what happens his second full year as a starter. That number goes down. You could set the extension to begin in 2026, and you could lock in Michael King for years to come. I'd love for the Padres ownership / front office to be aligned throughout all the other mess that's happening to look at these two players and say, this is where value is. This is where we can make a valuable move for our team and for them to strike on those two players.
And they're also the subject of trade talks as it stands right now. So I agree with you. It'd be really cool if they can extend them and keep them on the team long term. And we'll see. Hopefully they're part of the team at least through the 2025 season.
When we come back, a little bit of a grab bag here on Annie and Elsten, including the name for Utah's hockey club, soon to be determined. We'll talk about that and more as we continue rolling toward 2 o'clock. It's San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. The Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to 97.3 The Fan for just an hour, but a whole hour. Don't stop at 58 minutes. It'd just be the dumbest thing you could do. Go the full 60. Then that instantly gives you a daily entry into this national contest. The grand prize, travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination, where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim, plus $20,000 in cash. Okay. Liners are done for the day.
All right.
Going to go ahead and close that.
Little golf clap.
It's a long list.
It was
this
a long
week.
list. It really was.
Probably going to continue.
Yeah, back at it tomorrow. A couple things in the grab bag here. We teased this, so I want to pay it off right away. I heard the boys talk about it yesterday afternoon, though, as well. It came out right after our show, as many things do.
Yeah, 201.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Don't know why. This one doesn't really matter. But we have the team in Utah that moved from Arizona, formerly the Coyotes, and they didn't know what to name the franchise. So they had a fan vote during the winter. They created a list of finalists, but they decided, like, for 1 year, our placeholder is going to be the generic Utah Hockey Club. And so Utah is playing as UHC, Utah Hockey Club, this season. But the fan pick for what the name would transition to was the Utah Yeti, or Utah Yetis, because they wanted to be the abominable snowman, right? Or
Abdominal.
Be the ripped one.
Yeah, be the ripped one.
Which would have been a great name.
Everyone thought it was going to be. The players thought it was going to be. The staff thought it was going to be. Here's one group that decided it wasn't going to be.
Uh-oh.
The Yeti Cooler Company.
Dang it.
Lame.
With their silly little trademarks. Yeti couldn't figure out a way. And UHC engaged with them, negotiated with them, but they could not come to a common arrangement whereby the Utah Yeti could be the Yeti and also the Yeti Coolers could be the Yeti. So, scratch Yeti off the list.
It feels like such a great partnership.
Yeah, it feels like such a missed opportunity
Right.
for Yeti.
Cold, coolers,
Don't let-
hockey,
Ice.
Don't let 5
Right.
cents held up $1 there, Yeti.
Right.
But whatever. All right.
So, as such, now they are moving on. Yeti
Don't want to be sued.
Yeti done. And now they are setting up iPads around Delta Center in Salt Lake. And the next 4 UHC home games, they're going to do another vote. Now, why is it only the people who pay to come to the game? I don't know.
It's like a fan appreciation thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But they've now got 3 names that they are asking their fans to pick from. And they say that the winner of the vote, this will be the team's name next year.
Maybe they really want people to buy tickets, and if they have strong opinions about voting, they'll come to the game.
Right.
Yeah, it keeps people out of the. They got some skin in the game by
right.
paying for tickets. Otherwise, you can't just have some random
riffraff.
people. Yeah, the riffraff of non-hockey fans trying to sway the vote.
Yeah, because then it'll be Skatey McSkateface or
Yeah, exactly.
something dumb.
Exactly.
Right. So
Skatey McSkateface, he says.
you remember Bodie McBoatface, right? There was a science ship in, I want to say, Great Britain, that they did a public polling for what it should be named, and the public overwhelmingly named the ship Bodie McBoatface. And
Well,
that's the ship's name.
That's like a mascot in the Northeast somewhere that I don't
love
even think
that.
I could say the name. I could tell you guys off air, but
Oh, wow.
Wow.
it's relatively the same thing.
Okay.
And the mascot is hilarious. And it's for a legit school.
So here are your 3 choices. The one that I think will win is Utah Mammoth. Okay.
Solid.
I like the Mammoth. I'm not opposed to that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that this affects me at all, but
It doesn't
neither.
affect you whatsoever.
if I was a Utah hockey paying customer,
If I'm ever driving through Utah,
that's what I'd vote for.
I'll think of it. Yeah.
Next is Utah Hockey Club. Hey, you loved it. Why not stick with the
I
generic
actually
name?
didn't love it.
I don't think
so-
anybody loved it.
Yeah. Meant to be a placeholder, but hey, maybe you fall in love with the placeholder. Just like, when you're walking down the line of generic foods at the supermarket. You're like, oh, I just want the one that just says beans.
Mm-hmm. It's just as good.
Right, maybe. So maybe the people in Utah are boring enough to name their team Utah Hockey Club on purpose.
It is Utah. So.
And if they do, then we can laugh at them for that. And then the third one is the Utah Wasatch.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Naming the Wasatch Mountain Range. But what the team is trying to do is they are trying to say, if you liked Yeti, vote Wasatch, and then we will use a quote-unquote mythical snow creature as the mascot. And that's the workaround. So
not a bad idea.
So basically the idea...
Who's going to say Wasatch? Who's going to say who
everybody
Wasatch?
Wasatch.
Does that roll off your tongue?
Wasatch.
I'm going to go watch the Wasatch.
Try to do that in a sports
I'm going to go watch the Wasatch.
Utah Wasatch.
Those Wasatch are so great.
The Utah Wasatch.
I love to watch the Wasatch. I can't even do it. I think what they're doing is trying to get people to vote Mammoth.
You're giving,
when you give two bad answers,
let's go
and
Satch.
You make the other
let's
answer.
Go Satch. Let's go Satch.
Why are they saying Zach but with the CH? Zatch.
Wasatch is yes, exactly.
Wasatch.
It was Wasatch.
That's right.
This is the funny part, I thought, though. The Smith Entertainment Group are the owners of these people. A spokesperson said that the fans are going to vote on these names and two different logos. And then no matter what, this will be the name of the Utah team next season. But they said there could be another round of fan voting after this.
Whoa, Wasatch.
So, what are we going to have 3 names in 3 years? I feel like that's a bad idea.
A different name every single year.
Maybe they're trying to sell a lot of apparel with the different names.
If you bought a UHC jersey, consider buying a Mammoth jersey, then a Wasatch jersey. And that'll be extra bucks for us. Maybe, I don't know. But
Wasatch isn't the worst. I mean, there's a lot of cool things you could probably do with it.
What does a Wasatch look like?
It's just the mountain range.
It's the mountains.
Oh, it's a mountain?
It's like being called the Rockies, right?
Right, exactly.
It's the same thing as the Rockies.
The Rockies are a mountain range, and the Wasatch mountain range is in Utah.
Yeah, it's like calling the...
Okay.
We're the Appalachians.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I'm looking at the Wasatch Mountains right now. They're very beautiful.
I'm sure
gorgeous.
They are.
Gorgeous. Mm-hmm.
Snow-capped.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Not the name of a hockey team.
Yeah, I guess you're running out of
not in my opinion.
Ice Age creatures to pick. Since the Predators used the saber-toothed tiger, and you probably couldn't call yourself the Sabres because of the
Buffalo
the other
Sabres.
team.
Yeah, the Buffalo Sabres.
Even though they're not a saber, they're a sword. But
they are a saber. S-A-B-R-E.
Yes,
they are not an S-A-B-E-R tooth.
It'd be too close.
I just looked
if Yeti was getting involved, then Buffalo would get involved.
Ice Age creatures, woolly mammoth, giant short-faced bear.
They could be the sloths.
Scimitar cat. I'm not sure what
the Utah scimitar cat.
The muskox. The Beringian lion. The giant beaver.
Wow. Oregon State would have a problem with that.
Hello.
Jefferson's ground sloth.
That one.
The gray wolf.
Missed.
What about a gray wolf or something?
That wouldn't be bad. The Utah gray wolves.
What about a mastodon?
Wapiti?
You mastodon instead of a mammoth, even though it's basically the same animal.
I mean, Utah is the beehive state. It could be the Utah Bees, but that's the name of the...
That's the name of the AAA
team. The AAA team, right.
We're going to point out the fact that the Utah Jazz makes no sense, even though they came from New Orleans.
I don't get that one either.
The NBA is the only one that's all jacked up.
Yeah. It's still funny to me that they never changed that name. They're like, no, Utah Jazz.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just Jazz.
I could see like New Orleans Jazz or something.
Well, that's where they were.
That's where they were, and then they moved.
They were the New Orleans Jazz.
They're the Minneapolis Lakers. Makes a lot of sense. How many lakes you see in L.A.?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah, some man-made ones in backyards.
The L.A. Lakers doesn't make any sense. A lot of the NBA teams don't make any sense.
Need to brush up.
Utah Jazz.
Well.
On your moving around.
On my moving teams' names.
Right.
The Utah Giant Beavers. We're done. We finished here. All done. We take it. We accept it. We sign it up.
I think we need to renegotiate with Yeti.
Right? Just come back hat in hand, please. We'll give everyone a cooler on the team. We'll name our stadium or name our arena the Cooler.
That would be cool.
Come on in the cooler.
You make the whole outside look like a Yeti.
Yeah.
But the Yeti, okay, you make the whole outside, okay, this is what you do. Yeah, you make the whole outside look like a cooler, and then an abominable snowman comes out of the cooler. Like it opens up, and then it rises out.
And he didn't get enough sleep last night.
Or much of any at all.
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
maybe you create it with
Like
a
the roof
liftable,
opens.
liftable lid roof.
Yes, and then out comes the abominable
At
snowman.
some point in the second quarter, the lid just lifts up and a giant reaches in and just grabs a drink out of it. And
Tyler has already the catchphrase, we're cooler than all the other teams.
And then Jerry Jones goes, we know where it was going to rain. When they left the roof open. Because the Yeti left the roof open. Who left the roof open? Well,
we know when it's going to rain in the Wasatch.
Abdominal snowman.
Yeah.
Left it open.
I guess if you can be the Wasatch, you can like make mountain ranges or something.
Yeah,
or like...
yeah. Do you know what the Utah Jazz have on their jerseys?
I don't.
A mountain range.
Oh, okay.
They have a mountain, not a note, not a saxophone.
Guess a note.
Not a walking bass.
Because when I think of jazz music, I definitely think of Salt Lake City.
You don't have a guy with a hi-hat,
jazz bear hanging out with the crew.
they've got a mountain range.
I'm in on Wasatch now. I'm
like,
in on the
wow,
Wasatch. Just to have the Yeti mascot stick
Satch.
it to Yeti.
I just like it for the Satch.
Mm-hmm.
Got to go see the Satch. Mm-hmm. It's not bad.
We're rooting on like if you're gonna be like you're rooting on the Padres or like you're rooting on the
Pods.
the Pods. What are you gonna say? Right? You're rooting on the Wasatches or you're rooting on the Satches.
The Satches.
I'm gonna check out the Satch.
Yeah. All right.
I bought it.
I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to sleep tonight just thinking about this.
You didn't sleep last night.
I know. I'm not going to sleep tonight. It's going to be thinking about this.
How do I save the Utah Hockey Club's problems of finding a name?
Let's take a time out. When we come back, we're opening up the phone lines for Ask Us Anything. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Give us a call. You've got 14 minutes. And if you do give us a call, we'll put you on the air. Anytime between now and 1:50, we'll just throw you on hold. We'll put you on the air. All we ask is that you have a question ready to ask the show. Take some questions from the chat. If we have any voice messages, we'll play them as well. And we'll wrap up Annie and Elsten for a Thursday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 142 on the Fan. Welcome back. Final segment of the Annie and Elsten program today, coming up at 2 p.m. Stay tuned. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby, all together in studio for the Gwynn and Chris program. I assume they're all in studio. That's actually an unfair assumption.
I see them all.
Do you?
They're all down the hall.
Okay.
They're all here.
Then they're all here.
All
Excellent.
right.
Sometimes there's
Yeah.
Aztecs women's basketball. Sometimes Tony's on assignment.
They're all present and accounted for today.
Outstanding. And then from 6 to 7, Scrabe on his own. The Scraby Chronicles. He will be there from 6 to 7. Stay tuned. Stay right here.
Daily Gripe.
Daily Gripe coming. It's all coming up on the Fan. Okay. We've got a little time for the phone lines. 833-288-0973 if you would like to call the show. Please do. We'll put you on the air. We'll play the bumper and everything. If not, this is what we're going to noodle on in the interim. More rumory things floating around there with the Padres, Dylan Cease, and discussion of a potential Cubs fit for Dylan Cease. Boss Man was talking to us about this right before the show today as well. First off, before we even get into potential returns, what would your thoughts be on trading Dylan Cease within the National League?
I don't love it.
Me neither.
Yeah, not great.
Not great, Bob.
No, Bob.
Kind of hate it.
Not great.
Yeah.
Kind of hate it.
Yeah.
Because unless you're going to count on the Cubs to win the Central, which you might, if you give them Dylan Cease, might even more, you're literally helping one of the teams you have to beat.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
The reason that the boss man was excited about this as a possibility is that when you look at the Cubs prospects, and the Cubs do have a lot of prospects in the top 100.
Yes, and that has been pointed out to us many times.
Yeah.
They have some possible or seems like probable major league ready players that could make the jump.
In fact, they have 6 different players whose estimated timeline in the MLB pipeline is this year.
There you go.
This year. Their number 1 prospect in their system is the number 14 overall prospect in Keith Law's rankings. His name is Matt Shaw. He's 23 years old. He is an infielder, right-handed hitter, who is expected to potentially be the Cubs' starting third baseman this year. But he last season hit outstanding at 2 different levels. Had a 373 on-base percentage at AA, moved up to AAA, hit 298 with a 395 on-base percentage, 534 slugging percentage. Had 21 homers in the minors last year, is considered to be at least a decent glove, if not a wonderful glove, but he's got an excellent, he's an excellent runner. He's someone that is thought to be projectable to potentially become an outfielder. So it could be a situation where if you did trade for Matt Shaw, you might start him in left as opposed to starting him at second base or third base, which would be his minor league positions. Yeah. Or you could make a trade for a kid like this, think that he's going to be your second baseman for the next 6 years, then move Jake Cronenworth in a deal. Not ideal, not exactly what you want to do, but a possibility.
Yeah, I don't love moving Jake Cronenworth at all. I hope Jake stays with the Padres, but if he was to move to a team, his newlywed wife lives in Chicago, and maybe he's part of some kind of package or something. But again, I don't like it. I want him to stay. But they got to do something. I go back. My mind goes to like prospects aren't proven, and like you're giving up a starting rotation member who is dominant, who is one of the aces of your rotation. Maybe you have to do this kind of deal because you just have to.
Right.
I don't know.
I've always been more interested in exploring an Orioles deal for Cease because first off, you're shipping him to the American League East, so he can't hurt you there, except for the 2 series that you play Baltimore. You might run into him once, you might run into him twice, but that's the only way Dylan Cease can hurt you is beating you in an individual game. He can't pitch a team past you in the standings in the National League. However, he can do that if he is in the National League. So I don't love any idea of trading Cease in the National League. Now, Here's what a Cubs insider named Jacob Zanola wrote on the Twitter Hell site earlier today. He said, regarding Dylan Cease, several sources have indicated that the asking price is Matt Shaw plus. Not just Shaw, Preller wants more. This is insane for a one-year rental. Cease is good, but not worth Shaw and more, or Shaw by himself. So says a probable prospect hugger if he's playing as the Cubs insider.
And if you're the Cubs, you're looking at it going, you're getting Cease for a year, and you're giving up two of your big top prospects.
Right.
So I guess in that sense, because he is a rental, maybe that's the type of deal that you have to make. But yeah.
The Cubs have an interesting outfielder named Kevin Alcantara, who is 22, who's very fast, who could step in and be the starting left fielder this year. That's a guy I'd be kind of interested. The kid that we talked about before that we traded for Yu Darvish, Owen Casey.
You do get service time with these deals. I mean, you
6 years
you have
service.
Control of these players, right?
Options,
for a
major
team
league minimum, right? So
for a team that needs that, I mean, that is like kind of pressing that pocketbook together. You get some controllable players that you can have for a long time.
The only way that I would accept something like this is if what Morosi talked about this morning that we played in the first hour of the show, if that was the actual truth. And what he said was the Padres could trade Cease, and he was talking about the Baltimore, get young offense. Well, this is what we're talking about from the Cubs, young offense. And then reinvest the Cease money immediately in the free agent market. And he was talking about John Flaherty. Jack, not John. Jack Flaherty. I guess you could call him John, right? Jack, John.
Yes.
Yeah. Talking about Flaherty. I think Flaherty's price is above.
I think so too.
$14 million.
It is kind of interesting that no one's picked him up yet. But at the same time, there's still quite a few players on the free agent market that haven't been picked up. It just hasn't been moving, period, that much.
Yeah. That's the only way I'd accept something like this. You could make me forced to see the logic of a trade like this if it was executed. And Matt Shaw could wind up being a star on the Padres throughout the 2025s, 2025 to 2030.
This is where your scouting has to, you have to trust your scouting. You have to trust when you're looking at these prospects and you're taking a good hard look at them. If you believe that they really have that potential and that they've got that upside, maybe this is a deal that you do because you need not just the bodies, but you need the potential and holding on to these guys for a long time. They can be part of your system.
Interesting thought to chew on as we quickly get to the phones. Alex and Martin have called in. Bumper. Eight 833-288-0973. Here's Alex in Fallbrook. Hi, Alex. Ask us anything.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
How are you
Alex.
guys?
Great.
My question. Well, I did hear you guys talking about having some sleep issues earlier today, and I was wondering if you guys have had tried herbal remedies for your sleep problems.
Like melatonin, do you mean?
No, like marijuana.
Oh,
hello.
Someone told me, and I know it's not exactly the same thing, but someone told me a long time ago to go get some of the CBD. Yeah, like CBD. They have a lot of CBD sleep stuff.
They do.
I haven't. I'm not ruling it out, but I haven't to this point gone that direction.
No.
Nate says, "Is this a sales call?"
Yeah, it sounded like it.
Are you?
Because let me tell you, I've got some stuff in the trunk.
Oh,
Maybe it's
man.
Yeah,
downstairs.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting in the lobby. That was a funny call though, Alex.
All right then.
I've tried the other one. What'd you call it? Melatonin? Yeah.
Melatonin, I've tried. Yeah,
I've tried that. Here's Martin in Santee. Hi, Martin. Ask us anything.
Good afternoon, all. Just a couple things. First, who was the starting catcher on opening day last year for the Padres?
Campy, right? Yeah, it's Campy.
Okay. So basically, what opening day this year, current roster
sorry,
between
go ahead.
now and then, what is the opening day roster going to look like with the current team in place? And I see it as one position player different. So I'd love your input on
just like what's the lineup? Like what's our today lineup? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Well, it would go Arias, Tatis, Merrill, Machado, Bogarts, Cronenworth, right? Mm-hmm. And then you'd probably fill the rest today with your left fielders. So we'll just say Ornelas, Diaz, and your DH, which would be nobody right now. It'd be Lockridge.
Yeah.
Or...
How about starting pitcher opening day?
I'd say it'd be Cease today.
I would too.
I mean, King's got an outside shot, but, Cease, King to Darvish to Waldron to Vasquez. Those would be your starting five.
Well, and to me, that doesn't sound that much different from last year's team. So
you're right.
I hear all these machinations and trades. It's like, I still think we're going to be pretty good this year. So I appreciate always your input, what you bring every day, and enjoy listening to all of you each day.
Thank you so much, Martin.
Last year's opening day lineup and position, Campusano caught, Cronenworth was at first, Bogarts was at second, Wade played third because Manny was hurt.
Right.
Kim was at shortstop, Profar in left, Maryland center, Tatis in right, Darvish started on the hill, Machado is your DH.
I forgot Eggy Rosario. Right now, today, Eggy Rosario would be either your DH or he'd be one of those last three hitters on the team. No, it doesn't sound bad.
No.
The only reason people are talking about trading a starter is because both Cease and King have an expiration date at the end of this year that they go to market. So if you can't re-sign them, holding them holds its own risk, which is that you go into 2026 with nothing on the back end. So that's why it's being talked about. Sorry we couldn't get to you, Jacob. Give us a call tomorrow. That's it for the show. We'll be back tomorrow with Medium Melanie. We'll be back with Mind the Gap. Got a couple STFC guests that could be lined up as well, so it should be a lot of fun. For Annie and Braden, I'm Craig. See ya.
Bye.